Did it say what I thought it said there? Anyway, good evening. Welcome to the program. It is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Tonight's probably not going to be the easiest live for the simple fact that you see what's on the monitor behind me. We're going to go ahead and essentially address what I'm going to suggest is what I'm going to suggest is the obvious. And that is President Trump is winning. And when I say winning, I mean whether you like Trump or not, whether you favor his policies or not, I think it's become undeniable that he is winning. Now, when I say winning, we're not necessarily we're not talking about winning for maybe you as a voter, as a constituent. We're talking about he is winning for himself. Now, there are areas where his victories convert or may convert to wins for the American people as well. But we're talking about the fact that Trump is winning. And I think many of you folks may be aware that he stated, I believe in the first term, I believe while he was running for president for his first term, he stated that if you vote for me, you're going to get tired of winning. So if you want Trump to be victorious, even in his own personal life, then that's a promise he's keeping. That is a promise that promises made, promises kept. But I'm not just going to come in here and blow the end. I'm going to give you some receipts as usual, and we're going to certainly talk about a few things. Right off the bat, we're going to start with the campaign promises. Now, obviously, that is winning in terms of hopefully some of his campaign promises are victorious, because this is where you and I, the voter, you and I, the American public, could benefit as well, such as the economy, border security, and things of that nature. So we're going to start out with campaign promises. Now, obviously, ending the war in 24 hours and some of that other stuff, he has not done that. And I don't think there's any sign that the Ukraine-Russian war or the Israeli-Palestinian wars are about to end. But understand, folks, as long as the American economy is strong for American citizens, that ain't going to be much of a strike to him. If the American economy is doing well, the price of fuel is down, you can afford eggs and groceries, I don't think the American people are really going to give him any major strike on what's going on in Russia and in Ukraine. Fact is, Americans tend to care about what's happening in America. Yeah, they want the Palestinians to be free and the war in Gaza to end, but they want the price of eggs and groceries to drop significantly more. That's much more important. So I'm going to start off with the border. Undeniable that Trump promising to secure the border and engage in the largest deportation in history. For all intents and purposes, that stuff is well on its way. Now, when we talk about the economy, as I just mentioned, a lot of the numbers in regards to the economy look at least decent, if not good. I just filled up my vehicle today, and I'm like, damn, the price of fuel is starting to hover around $2.50, even less in some areas, less than $2. Now, Trump talked about $1.98 a gallon. That's currently not true. But the price of fuel is low enough that most Americans are not necessarily in outrage about what they are. So when we talk about when, but I want to get into some more things that may be considered sinister, but I will talk about as well. Here's an actual quote from Trump. When I'm talking about winning, I'm talking about stuff like this, because this is, once again, something that, in addition to the economy, we're talking about right now victories that the American people wanted, that President Trump is indeed delivering on. And if I can get my device queued up.
This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders,
That's a campaign promise. He made it clear that he was not going to tolerate a lot of the antics of the LGBT community, particularly trans. He's in the White House now. He's operating from the Oval Office, and he has done just that. Now, see in the comments, KO Surge, thank you for your support. KO Surge says, let's be honest, Trump is a racist. No way around it. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Unfortunately, you can be a racist president and still be viewed as successful. Our history in this country is loaded with them. Essentially, just about all of the founding fathers had no love for people of color or even women, if you really want to go into it. So, I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. You can still, Mount Rushmore, when you look at that, when you look at what's on the face of Mount Rushmore, you think all of those folks were for equality and tolerance? Just want to tell you that. You can be a great president by American standards and be racist as hell. But continuing on, now we're talking about first the campaign promises, LGBT issues, the border, the economy, DEI. He's gotten rid of affirmative action. Hell, he's even targeted Black Lives Matter in many ways. And these are all campaign promises. But we're going to go deeper than that. Maybe even some might suggest slightly more sinister. But we're talking about the fact that Trump is definitely winning. Keep in mind, once again, I'm going to keep saying this. When I say winning, it doesn't mean that you, the voting public, may be winning with him. We're talking about him. We're talking about Trump himself. He is winning. He is winning. And if you're rooting for Trump, then you might consider yourself as winning as well. Nevertheless, Will G obviously does not, because he says Trump ain't shit. He clearly got sold off about now he's selling off the country. Well, that could be a win for him, though, OLG, and you'll hear that in the way this will be phrased. But anyway, we're going to talk about, in addition to his campaign promises, we're going to talk about how he is winning in terms of his rule, his agenda, such as threatening to change or violate the Constitution. Remember, you don't have to like any of this. He is winning. He is doing what he wants to do, and he is being successful at it. Threatening to change or violate the Constitution. What the hell am I talking about? Birthright citizenship. Talking about potentially getting involved. I want you to hear this, because I'm sure you've heard it, but I'm just going to play it, because this is what we're talking about when I say potentially violate or change the Constitution.
Organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028.
Yeah.
Are you seriously considering a third term, Mr. President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution? Or is this about staying politically
I
viable?
will say this. So many people want me to do it. I have never had requests so strong as that. But it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do. I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the 2028 hat.
And he is one of them. He is one of them. You can buy the Trump 2028 hat from Trump's website. And he's not only that, but he's been seen wearing them. But in addition to birthright citizenship, seeking third presidential terms, talking about the fact of potentially getting rid of habeas corpus, we know what's going on with due process, even a potential violation of the emoluments clause. Remember, we're talking about accepting a $400 million jet. Winning. When I say he is winning, damn it, it does not matter what the law is. This guy is winning. This guy is doing what he wants with little to any recourse, little to any discipline. He is winning. And last but not least, defying the Supreme Court. Remember this whole facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and he's been told to bring back other immigrants as well. He's not doing it. He is not doing it, and he will not get in any trouble at all. We're talking about winning from his rule, from his agenda. He is winning. In addition to that, we're going to talk about more in terms of his own personal finances and victories. Once again, winning. We're talking about the fact that President Trump is winning. Now, when we're talking about his own personal finances and his own personal victories, once again, we're talking about stuff like clips that we have here, such
Trump
as this.
will head to an exclusive MAGA Inc. dinner party at the Trump National Golf Club in Virginia. Other media outlets have reported that the dinner costs $1.5 million per person and will also feature venture capitalist David Sachs. So MAGA Inc. is a super PAC that supports Trump, but it is raising ethical concerns from watchdog groups. So let's bring in Corey Frayer. He's the Director of Investor Protection for the Consumer Federation of America. Corey, thanks so much for joining us. Let's begin. We know Trump has his own crypto meme coin. So what is a meme coin? How is it different from Bitcoin?
Trump's companies have been selling several different kinds of crypto coins. A meme coin is a token that you buy because you hope to profit off of it if it becomes popular enough to sell to someone else. Well, where it's the Trump coin or the president of Argentina's meme coin, they are rife with self-dealing and insider trading. Trump has made at least $350 million from this meme coin so far. He plans to sell as many as 800 million more of these coins after he's increased their price by announcing these dinners for its top buyers. In effect, Trump is a pay-to-play scheme that allows his biggest buyers in his coin to meet him in person and potentially influence him. And even possibly foreign nationals may see.
Winning. We're talking about winning. His personal finances, his personal victories. He's making a fortune. He is winning. Not to mention, obviously, he's about to receive a $400 million aircraft essentially for free. Last but not least, when we're talking about winning and his personal victories, we all know he has defeated 2 impeachments, 91 federal charges in the beginning, and 34 actual felony convictions. Defeated all of that. Winning. We're talking about winning. Last but not least, this one may be even more darker than what we've talked about. Nevertheless, we're talking about revenge. We're talking about Trump is winning. Revenge. He's taking out revenge on virtually all of his enemies. Most of his rival politicians are now out of a job or they're sitting back quiet. Now, apparently, TikTok did not like what we're talking about, so we'll have to continue the program on via YouTube. TikTok took that shit down. Give me a second to appeal it. I believe we got some haters in the audience that have been, reporting live or whatever. So give me a second here, because we're just describing what the hell's going on, so it makes no sense here. Okay, it does say it's under review. Okay, so in addition to everything that Trump has defeated, we're talking about winning. Last but not least, we talked about him taking revenge on virtually all of his adversaries, all of his enemies, all of the rival politicians that did not like Trump are either out of a job, they're gone, or they're sitting back silent, not saying a damn thing about anything he's doing because they don't want to put their political careers at risk. But in addition to that, all of the law firms that may have defended clients that were on the opposite side of Trump, the law firms have caved. President Trump has forced them to give him all sorts of free legal services to his client, to other friends of his and all of them. So he's getting all kinds of free pro bono work. We're talking about winning. Last but not least, he stopped a hell of a lot of federal funding for liberal schools and adversaries alike. Columbia, Harvard, he stopped all of their federal funding, and that continues. Even in liberal cities, he's threatening to do it. Winning over and over again. And of course, we talked about the fact that he destroyed DEI, LGBTQ, affirmative action policies, just winning all over the damn place. So someone let me know, what am I getting wrong? And I'm going to have to go straight over to Sherbert on Instagram. I don't know what the hell happened with TikTok. We'll see what the appeal happens with the appeal. But Will said Trump is trying to sell off the country. Just give Trump the royal Saudi treatment, a plane and a few golf courses, and he will do anything. Well, he's getting a lot more than that, Will. By the way, all the oligarchs went with him to the Saudis, winning. Sherbert, good evening.
How's it going, Tim?
It's going good. So do you agree that regardless if you like Trump or you hate him, he is winning?
I mean, he's a pretty lucky motherfucker.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of if you ever seen Die Hard 2 with Bruce Willis when he's trapped in the airplane and they're throwing all kinds of grenades and trying to kill him, and he pulls the ripcord and he shoots out the airplane, and they say, "You lucky son of a bitch." Yeah, he is very lucky, but is he not winning?
You're probably not wrong here. I just also think he's pure evil.
Damn.
And as I was thinking about this while waiting for you to, take a caller, I sound very much like Alex Jones callers and being hysterical about it, but I can't think of anything that the Democrats have done that equal to any one thing that Trump is doing lately. It's evil. He's just destroying the country and making a fuck ton of money off of it.
Well,
I remember Jimmy Carter had to sell his peanut farm because it was against the emoluments clause that he might be influenced by that business.
well, I don't think I think it's undeniable that he's making a killing financially. But when you say he's destroying the country, every time Trump does something controversial, you look how it's covered on YouTube or on social media, and you go to the comment section, whether it is snatching illegal immigrant babies out of the mom's hand or whatever. In the comments, it says, "That's what we voted for. Good job, Trump. Trump 2024. I don't think the people see the country as being destroyed, Sherbert. I think they really like what this guy's doing.
And those people are evil.
You think MAGA is evil?
I really don't have a better answer for you, Tim. I've been saying they're in a cult for the last 3 years, and now they're okay with putting people away in prison for the rest of their lives for no good reason. Because somebody put MS-13 on their knuckles with Photoshop. That's good enough to send somebody away from prison for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. It sounds pretty evil to me, Tim. Getting rid of Meals on Wheels, getting rid of, Medicaid and everything sounds pretty evil.
Well, I mean,
I don't
but
know what to tell you.
But you'd have to admit that a lot of MAGA use Medicaid and some of these Social Security and stuff they're threatening. If what you're saying is correct, then why does MAGA continue supporting someone that may take away some of their own entitlements?
Because owning the libs feels better than actually doing policy.
You're telling me that
Marjorie Taylor Greene, and part of Doge, the head of the subcommittee for Doge, was putting up edited photos to make it look like the guy was flipping somebody off and he was doing like the peace sign basically. If that is the people running it, they're not serious and they feel pretty evil. The same lady that put up dick pics of Hunter Biden in Congress for no good reason sounds pretty evil, Tim.
You talking about Marjorie? You talking about Marjorie Taylor? You talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene?
100%.
Well, let me just say, in regards to Marjorie,
Winning. You're right. They're winning,
Yeah.
but they're winning at evil.
the White Sox used to have a spring ad back in the '80s called "Winning Ugly." They're winning ugly, okay? But at the end of the day, and what is his name? Stephen A. Smith made an interesting point that if the tariffs turn out to work in Trump's favor, the Democrats have just lost the midterms as well. Do you see a possibility that the midterms are no longer a lock for the Democrats?
No, because I can't see a way that the tariffs help when every single economist and anybody who actually knows anything says that there's no way to do it for another 3 years.
Well, here's where I disagree with you. Here's why I think Trump could do very well with the tariffs. It's kind of like the arsonist that puts out the fire and gets credit for doing so. If I tell folks we're going to have an 140 some odd % tariff with China and they're going to have 100 and some odd % tariff with America and the shelves are going to be empty and the price of shit's going to double if not triple in price, and they've gotten prepared for that. They've heard that all over TV of how awful things are going to be. Once I take tariffs back down to where they were, it actually seems like a win.
That sure sounds like fear-mongering, Tim.
I'm just telling you what's going on.
And I'm just telling you, I would rather have had Kamala, where shit would have gotten done and people wouldn't be dying.
Kamala's not coming. Sherbert, Kamala's not coming back.
I don't care if she's not coming back. that's what I would have preferred.
Yeah.
Because this nonsense is driving me crazy. We didn't have to have a tariff war with literally the entire world. This is a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So if you bring that up as a positive, Grandma's gonna slap the fucking shit out of you.
But I mean,
Why are you trying to be fluffing right now with me?
This ain't-
the caller here.
this is not fluffing. This is actual
That,
fact.
fuck you. Bring up the tariffs as a positive when everyone's just gonna pay 10% more, which is still a tax on us, Tim.
Well, the reason why I'm saying this,
Stop propaganding me.
well,
Taxes on us.
the reason why I'm saying it's a positive for Trump, or is likely to be a positive for Trump, is because he got you prepared for some real bad shit to happen. And now when it doesn't happen, he's going to go around saying the only reason that didn't happen is because of me. He's not going to tell you he's the only reason it was going to happen in the first place, but he's going to tell you the only reason it's not happening now is because of him.
What would have happened if Kamala did win? Or, in my perfect example, would be Tim Walz winning coming up if he had won this last time. What could they have possibly done that would equal to any of this shit that we would not have been doing better off then?
My guess
We're gonna say
is,
the border, and I'm going to tell you go fuck yourself, so don't bring that one up.
well, I wasn't thinking about that, but you are right. I don't think Kamala Harris would have been anywhere near as effective on the border as Trump is.
Maybe, but I don't hate people, so some people can come in. That's fine. I live in South Texas. Mexican people are not the fucking problem. Racist assholes that are willing to kill people in the Rio Grande are the problem.
Well, they seem to have a different opinion. And I seen the comments, KO Search said the Democrats, when they get back in power, they must get vengeance on Trump. Do you agree with that, that if the Democrats get back in office in any way, shape, or form, they should go after Trump?
I've got a problem with this. And it's the TDS bullshit. When all of the things that you brought up that he got out of,
Yeah.
they were actually able to put in charging documents. They had investigated, they had looked into it. These were things he actually did. And there's a mountain of shit he's done in this presidency that is truly illegal. And so when you say after revenge, I say we're actually following the law and prosecuting people for doing bad shit. But it won't matter what I say. It's just going to be, oh, it's a witch hunt. Everyone hates me. Maybe don't do illegal shit. Sorry.
Well, the thing about it is, though, in regards to you suggesting that Trump has done illegal shit, most likely once he leaves office, he'll do because Biden gave all of these proactive pardons. So it ain't like the Democrats can really say any damn thing. If Trump leaves office and gives all kinds of pardons to him and Elon, what can the Democrats really say after they let Biden do it with his son and Liz Cheney and all of them folks?
Well, I ask why they needed pardons at the beginning in the first place. And you can see exactly why Trump is going after everyone. So it's very different levels of magnitude on why things are happening. Releasing all the January 6 people for no good reason
Okay.
versus people that just did their job, literally investigated.
But I'm hearing the January 6 folks were just patriots. That's what I'm hearing. They were patriots. They were wrongfully charged. They were mistreated by the federal government. Biden used a weaponized DOJ against them.
Except they were actually investigated. Everything was done by the book. We can look at each one of their charging documents and why they got that sentence. Nothing was done improperly. They did some shit that was clearly illegal because when it happened, my jaw hit the fucking floor at work watching that shit on my phone.
But I'm hearing
Unjustly.
I'm hearing that some folks on January 6th were arrested when they didn't even go in the building.
Doesn't matter.
Why?
They were looked into it. I've heard this story, and you look into it, and the people, because I listened to somebody reading out the charging documents, that couple said in podcasts that they were there in the first wave. And so they're saying they weren't, but they have footage of them saying that they were in there at a different time. No, you have propaganda right there, my friend.
What about the footage that exists of people being peacefully let in? Where they didn't, you got like the QAnon shaman guy. He's actually being let in. He's being flanked by several officers. He was being let in.
I'm pretty sure that's the footage of him being escorted out of the building. And at that point, the riot's over. They're not tackling people anymore.
Now, there is actual footage where they're watching
He's
him.
walked into the building. I've seen that footage, Tim. I know what you're talking about because Tucker Carlson got it and edited the fuck out of it. That's not him walking into the building. That's him being escorted out before he gets arrested.
You didn't see the footage of him up on the stage or behind people, and the police are just standing there watching him?
I guess I haven't seen that one.
Okay.
But still, that's after the windows were shattered,
Yeah.
the 150 cops that were there to keep people out were taken out. I'm not saying they were all killed, but they were all not able to do their job of keeping our government safe. The people that were making decisions and actually doing the process that they have to do by law, for some reason that's okay. That's the fluffing, Tim, and that's the.
No, I'm asking. There is, and I can't. And Gangster Grandma is already. Oh no, hang on, hold on.
No, fuck this. Every time MAGA Reacts and DJ Julio starts going on their fucking spin campaign, I go back to they were charged.
Yeah.
Fucking doing illegal shit. And every time we went after Trump, it was for doing illegal shit. What did Liz Cheney do? She did her job. So I'm not going to hear this shit anymore.
Well,
So when people are justifiably mad and have TDS, it's because other people are dancing around actual horrible shit and just going, no, it's the Democrats, it's the gay people, it's the trans trying to play a couple of sports that's ruining the country versus trying to take over the country and destroy it without actually having due process.
So now you keep using the word destroy.
Fuck.
You keep using the word destroy, and I appreciate the passion, but you keep using the word destroy. How is Trump, in your opinion, what is Trump doing to destroy the country? Because Papa Anaya Shelley on YouTube, here's some of the bullet points. He's stating that cryptocurrency market near all-time highs. He's stating that the stock market has run the greatest in history. He's also stating that right now we're on the right track. Best he's stating in 25 years. And he's telling me to ask you, are you sad that Trump is doing such a good job?
The stock market is not doing better than ever. Maybe it's bounced back a little bit, but it's not doing better than ever. So I'm going to push back on that one immediately. You can't create your own currency as president. That's Congress. And okay, the markets are doing great. But Trump is clearly making money off of that directly and then having bribey shit with the dinners. So that's not a good thing. I don't care what this guy says on that point. What were the other ones, Tim?
Well, he followed up by saying, personally, I'm tired of all the weirdos. I like dudes like the caller getting mad. Just do it on the phone and not in my face, fruity. He's talking about you, but no, I mean.
What were the other points? No, I want to get down to this because they're always wrong.
Well, I covered them.
Why?
I mean,
What were the other two? I forgot.
Okay, he's talking about ceasefires. He's talking about the fact that employment with African Americans is increasing. He's talking about the fact that illegals are gone. He's talking about the fact that the price for prescriptions is allegedly going down. This is all what Pablo Naya is. Go ahead.
All those things are like half of the truth. We need those migrant workers. The prescription pills might be good, but it's probably illegal. That's why Biden did a 5-year to 20-year fucking program to do part of that. Some of this can be shown with a spotlight of good.
Okay.
But it's still illegal. It won't stand when people actually try and pull it apart. That's why you have to do the actual governance with their super majority. They're not doing anything. And when they do, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene showing false photos in a fucking hearing. So they need to learn how to actually do something good, and then I'll give them some praise. But Pete Hegseth doing some illegal shit, Kristi Noem doing some illegal shit, They're not qualified. Their DEI is not under merit. And so they can all fuck off. I'm tired of this.
All right, but you did admit in the beginning of our conversation that Trump is winning. You may not like it, but you do admit he is winning.
Illegal shit.
Well,
I mean, our most mob boss president ever. I'll give you that one.
all right, fair enough.
I don't really want to be ruled by a mob boss, but I guess they do. They don't want to have actual freedom. Great.
Well,
DJ Julio.
you know it's like the drug dealer that is pulling capers, but at the end of the day, he hands out turkeys on the block. That's Trump. You say a mob boss. He's their mob boss.
I'm
He's
a
a...
business owner. I don't know what you're telling me about.
All right, Sherbert. You drive a hard bargain. Thank you. Good evening. Good on you. All right, moving on with the program. Appreciate it, Sherbert. All right, we do have our TikTok back up. I love his liberal tears, says Stevie D. I'm the most hydrated I've been in 4+ years. I want to just say this real quick. When you're talking about liberal tears and taking pleasure in how, I think Pablo and Naya Shelley talked about it, liberals crying and stuff like that. Look, if you enjoy that, you enjoy it, damn it. But I want to make it clear. Do not complain about TDS or Trump derangement syndrome or act baffled that people hate Trump. If you're admitting that the man has people in tears, then damn it, you should understand why people hate him. So understand that you're taking joy in making people cry and pleasure in liberal tears, but you're acting shocked why the people don't like it. Once again, I think what's happening on TikTok is I have a hater out there that's constantly doing this. I'll go ahead and submit the appeal again, but there's somebody on TikTok that just keeps, I suppose, complaining or something. It flags alive, you appeal, and it comes right back. Let me continue on, though. We all knew about Trump's personal vendetta. MAGA just got conned. I don't know about that. I'll tell you why. I think that I agree with the first part. I think we did all know about Trump's personal vendettas. I don't think MAGA got conned, though. I think MAGA wanted him to do this stuff. Go at the DEI, horrible treatment to immigrants. Because remember, Governor Greg Abbott down in Texas was putting what they refer to as drowning machines in the water. MAGA was okay with that. So MAGA was okay with all of this stuff. So I would tell you that I don't think that they got conned. I think most of the stuff that Trump is doing in regards to his personal vendetta, going at the law firms and all of this stuff, I think MAGA kind of expected it and wanted it because they believe when Trump says that Biden has weaponized the DOJ or any of this stuff, or people, the fake news media is out to get me, MAGA believes it. So MAGA believes that the vendetta that Trump has is justified. They actually support it. So I don't think that they got conned at all. I think they want it. Goodbye maggot pedos. Damn, Neptune. Continuing on with the program, I may have to bring up Clapper because right now, until this appeal goes through, I can't take a caller on Instagram until we see what happens here. But I do believe we have we got a hater out there that's doing this shit over and over again. Continuing on though, MAGA is not a cult; it's a cuck-servative movement. Cuck, C-U-C-K. A cuck-servative. Damn. All right. And I see the comments. And by the way, Neptune, your comment got across. I don't like to blog, but don't keep typing it over and over again. Trump do more black chit chat than Cigar Bill. I don't know what. Oh, you're talking about Bill Clinton? Don't know quite what you're trying to say there. No black people out there protesting. Depends on where you're at. I want you guys to hear something though, while we're waiting on this damn appeal. This is Stephen A. I was trying to cover this with my last caller. And by the way, if you do want to call into the program, come on over to Instagram because TikTok is acting goofy. So I think somebody tried to have it. I'm filing an appeal on TikTok. So come on over to Instagram, if you will. We'll do it from there. You still can call in and all of that.
Get to the White House. And the latest on the trade wars with China. The White House touted a quote, China trade deal on Sunday. And the president spoke on it today. The announcement comes after two top U.S. officials alluded to a potential agreement yesterday with China following talks in Switzerland. What we know is that the U.S. and China agreed to drastically roll back tariffs on each other's goods for an initial 90 days. The move de-escalates the trade war and sparks increases in the global markets, which rallied today.
Listen to what he has to say in regards to Trump, because Stephen A., you know him from ESPN, he's indicating that the Democrats might be in trouble even in the midterms if something happens. Listen to what he says in regards to the something, though.
14th, the U.S. will temporarily lower its overall tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% to 30%, while China will cut its levies on American imports from 125% to 10%. That's an accomplishment, ladies and gentlemen. You know why? Because the Dow increased by 1,044 points. And all of a sudden, all of this noise about how our 401ks have been lost and our IRAs have been compromised and all of this stuff going on in the stock market that's compromised American lives and Social Security is in jeopardy and all of this other stuff. I got news for you. This 90-day reprieve forced the markets to react in a positive way. If a deal is struck within 90 days, and if it is a deal deemed successful by the Trump administration, remember what I just said about AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Bernie Sanders, etc.? Toast. Democrats will lose the midterms. If Trump finds a way to win this tariff war, and make no mistake, this is where the war was. All of this stuff where he's throwing tariffs at everybody else, that was smokescreen. The target was China. Third largest economy in the world. Target was China. The third largest trading partner, I'm sorry. That's what happened.
Now, what he is doing is giving that response about they're thinking checkers when Trump is playing chess. Here's the problem with this, though. How can, if the goal, because Stephen A., and I don't totally disagree with him because I think Trump will get credit as the arsonist for putting out the fire. And by the way, TikTok is back up. So if you were watching on TikTok, it's back up as well until somebody keeps playing games. But I will say this. Trump will get credit for he's the arsonist. The tariff war, he is the one that created that. And he will likely get credit if he is the one that ends it. But remember, Trump promised the purpose of the tariff war was to bring manufacturing and jobs back to America. So Stephen A. Smith is talking about if Trump wins the tariff war, the Democrats are going to lose the midterms and all of that. If Trump wins the tariff war, that means he didn't bring manufacturing and jobs back to America. It just means the shit is still being made in China, but we have a higher tariff on it. So that means you and I are not going to see any more jobs come back from China. It just means the products they make over there will pay. There will be a higher tariff placed on them. Understand, you and I are more likely to pay that tariff than to benefit from it in any way, shape, or form, which is what Sherbert on Instagram was saying not long ago. So Trump could get credit for winning the tariff war and walk away in America as one of the only victors. If all of a sudden we increase the tariff on goods made in China by, let's say, 20 or 30%, 20 or 30%, Trump is going to be touting that as a win. See, we corrected the trade imbalance. We're now getting more money from China on goods coming in. That didn't bring manufacturing back, though. That is not what he promised to do. He promised to bring jobs back from China. That's not apparently going to happen. The goal is just to get them to pay a little bit more on goods that are made in their country coming to America. And I do believe that if that happens, Trump will be touting that as a victory, and MAGA will be too. They'll totally skip over the fact that he promised that, no, you're going to bring those factories and plants back, not leave them there and just charge them a little bit more to make the product. Only folks that are going to benefit under this situation is the elites in this country. Let's say, for instance, a car is made in another country and all we end up with is a higher tariff on that car for making it overseas. That's just going to be passed down to the American that purchases that car. That's it. You're not going to win. That's not going to bring any auto making employment jobs back. But I do believe that if it happens that way, Trump still will be deemed as a victor in that. I've said before, I don't think Trump will win the tariff war. I just think that China has a lot more of the stomach for suffering, the capabilities to suffer, but we'll see. But we're going back to what we're talking about, and that is the fact that Trump is winning. Undeniable. It's undeniable that Trump is winning, whether it is his agenda, whether it is his own personal finances, whether it is his goals, defeating impeachments, defeating 91 charges and felony convictions, whether it is his rule, his agenda in terms of threatening to change or violate the Constitution. Thank you. Appreciate the support there. Stevie D, thank you. Shout out to you. We talked about his rule, his agenda, threatening to change or violate the Constitution, everything from ending birthright citizenship, third presidential term, suspending habeas corpus due process, even potentially violating the emoluments clause by enjoying the ownership of a brand new $400 million jet, which clearly violates that clause, and even defying the Supreme Court with impunity. Remember, he was supposed to bring back a few immigrants that he sent out of the country. They told him he had to facilitate the return of those immigrants. Trump is essentially saying, fuck the Supreme Court. He is winning. He is undeniably a victor right now, and it's hard to deny otherwise. Looking in the comments, no, MAGA didn't believe anything. Fear-mongering. I don't know, Will. I think MAGA expected Trump to be vengeful. I don't know if they expected him to make money. I don't know if they even cared about that, but we talked about he's created his own crypto. In terms of victories, he's having a parade to celebrate his birthday that's worth tens of millions of dollars. And like I said, his victories in the courts are legendary. The guy is winning. Will G says he manipulated the stock market. Well, regardless of how it happened, he still got to the same goal. People are happy with the stock market under Trump. How is Tim happy about the jet and meme coin? Me personally, Kevin, it doesn't benefit me at all. And I don't like the fact. This is me personally. I can admit that the guy is winning. I can admit that Trump is definitely winning, while admitting that I don't like the way he's doing it. As my last caller, Sherbert, said, winning. We talked about winning other week. I'll go to the box momentarily, but hey, look, when Trump came in office, he boasted that he's not taking a salary. That sounded awesome, to have a president that is so focused on, making America great, that I'll do it without even taking the salary. I'm rich enough, I don't need the money. But now that he's in office, he's making money hand over fist. It's pretty clear that Trump is highly concerned with making money, and he's making a killing off the office, whether it is, I mentioned the crypto coin, he's selling Bibles, he's selling shoes, he's selling watches, he's selling, NFT cards. I mean, he's making a killing off of the office, selling assets to himself, making a killing. So it sounded great that he wasn't taking a salary, but clearly he's making a lot of money from the job. So me personally, I'm not a fan of it, but even though I may not be a fan of it, I can't deny the guy is winning. The guy is winning big time. Trump is definitely winning. Hanson, you realize the size of China's population? Yeah, what does that got to do with it? China's been, as one of the Chinese was asked in regards to the tariffs, we've been around before there even was an America. So he stated that, when people claim that China needs America, he's like, we've been around for 5,000 years. Most of that time, there was no America. So we don't need you like that. I mean, China has lived in poverty recently. They've lived in extreme poverty recently. Like within the lifetime of a lot of the people that's alive still. Remember, our market, our manufacturing, all of our industry did not go to China until like the 80s. So before that, they were dirt poor. We are the ones that cannot handle the price of gas going up $1, the price of eggs going up $1. We're struggling at a little bit of suffering. They've always been that way, with the exception of maybe just recently. So I do believe they can handle it a little bit more. If we keep on this track for 4 years, America will be respected by the world, besides Democrats. Stevie D says if we continue on this track, the world will respect us with the exception of Democrats. That's a mouthful. We'll continue on. The one and only Gangsta Grandma. Are you tired of Trump winning? Now, I don't think this is going to go well, but I'm going to ask anyway.
I'm tired of your fat ass fluffing with your bald headed pookie ass. What did it tell? He might win him. No, bitch, he ain't gonna win. What the fuck?
He's winning now.
I'm telling you, that thing's gonna be a house ninja. That's what the fuck you wanna be, don't you? You don't wanna come to you're not a bluey. If you're the bluey, you wouldn't be kissing these motherfuckers' asses. And I like your fur, that guy that was saying that he wanted to choke the shit out you.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I want to choke the shit out you too.
Tell me how admitting right now that Trump is winning is fluffy.
Hey, okay. Look. He's winning for the rich white man. He's not winning for the American people. He's not winning for the middle class people. He's not even for the middle upper class. He's not winning for us.
Well, if you were not around in the beginning of the live, because I stated we're not talking about necessarily the American people. We're talking about Trump personally. I don't like a lot of the ways he's winning, but damn it, that doesn't mean he's winning. I don't like a president accepting.
He's winning for the rich white. He's winning for him.
Okay.
I'm not giving that motherfucker no credit for taking money from us, taking Medicaid away from the poor people, taking the fucking food stamps away from the poor people. You got me fucked up. See, that's why you're bluffing. That's why your ass is fluffing, girly pop.
You saying the same.
That's why your ass is fluffing.
You don't like what I'm saying, Grandma, but you're saying the same shit.
Okay, let me tell you something. I would never give that white piece of crap any kind of dignity or any kind of win because he don't give a damn about us. You know what? If he gave a damn about us, he'll be busting his ass. He would have took away the bill that helped us take our insulin down and stuff. No, he took that away. Now he's going to say, oh, I'm going to put it all out, whatever that shit is, where he did it. He signed that thing saying, oh, Medicaid, they're going to give cheaper drugs. No, he can't. What Biden did was the law. And they was doing it good. So what he did is not the law. So it's not going to be nothing to it.
Here's where you seem to be missing what I'm saying. You tend to think that for Trump to be winning, the American people have to be winning too. And I'm telling you that's not the case. I'm talking about Trump himself, the man himself. He's making fight.
I know he's winning. I told you, he's winning. He's winning for the rich white man. He's winning for him.
Then we agree.
him.
Then we agree.
And we're not winning.
Well, maybe it wasn't intended for you to win.
But you know what though? F-A-F-O, because I can Sleepy Joe. At least we didn't have to we don't have that fucking, that damn plane and stuff. We don't have to worry about that. Sleepy Joe didn't kick out the press when he went overseas and stuff. Baby drill, right? Wasn't that drilling no more.
Huh?
Saudis and stuff flooded the damn market with oil. Guess what? Our oil rigs are gonna dry the fuck up. They're gonna close them down. That's why. See, you motherfuckers are so dead. You know what? Maggots are so uneducated. That's why he likes them. They're so uneducated. They believe everything.
I think MAGA would,
Smoking mirrors.
I think
Smoking mirrors.
I think MAGA against the grandma would tell you that they're doing very well under Trump.
Okay. When they food stamps dry the fuck up, when the Section 8 goes bye-bye, when Medicare and Medicaid gets sliced so fucking bad that they gotta go take care of their old people because they're not going to take care of them in the nursing homes no more, and that's already been out. I'm not lying. We told the sorry FOs that he was coming for Medicaid, Medicare, and food stamps, and guess what? They're doing it right now.
So what are you expecting? MAGA to vote for Kamala Harris?
If they want their benefits.
What if they want the border
No,
secure?
They won't vote for an educated black woman. They rather burn it down than vote for an educated black woman. That's how racist these motherfuckers are.
Is it the fact that she's
That thing is about this shit today. They made excuses why Donald Trump let the white man in.
maybe
They made
it
excuses.
maybe it has less to do with the fact that she's an educated black woman and more to do with the fact that she was not going to lead the country in the direction they wanted it to go.
Oh, so they wanted to burn the damn country down. Because they wanted to be racist. They wanted to be under the Hitler.
Boy,
Hell yeah, that's what they're. Let Maggots are racist. You know now they're racist. Well, they do not condemn what Trump did with the South Africans. What the South Africans did, they are trying right now. They're trying right now to cover it up.
I don't have any pushback on the South African thing. That does look bad. I can't play devil's advocate and see the other side of that.
It's very bad. Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? You walk like a fucking duck, you talk like a fucking duck, you a fucking duck. He's a racist piece of shit.
But what
He
okay.
always has been.
Okay, what about as opposed to suggesting Trump is racist? What about the possibility that he is transactional and maybe Elon Musk donating hundreds of millions of dollars to his campaign convinced him to do that with those South African immigrants as a favor? It ain't necessarily that he's racist.
No favor. You know what? Let me tell you something. He bought the election. He got the election. He did what he said he did. Now he owed him a favor and brought the racist piece of shit, white tea trash, up in here.
Well, I mean, like I said, Trump is transactional. Elon Musk did a whole lot for
Guess
Trump.
what? We're gonna find out. We're gonna find the fuck out what he promised the Saudis. We're gonna find out. Ain't about the damn jet. We're gonna find the fuck out now. We're gonna find out how bad he put us in. That's how stupid. And then you'll be riding so fucking hard for him, that white tea man. You'll be riding. Oh, let's give him props. He's winning. No, bitch. We're not. We're losing. He's winning. And let me tell you about the tariffs, okay? Let's break this shit down. China has 10% tariffs. We got 30%.
Okay.
Who's winning? Who's winning?
Well,
We're not winning.
well,
We're paying the shit.
wait a minute. Think about it though. When goods come to this country from China,
We're paying it.
yeah, we're paying 30%.
We're paying it.
We're paying 30%. Now,
Yeah.
according to Trump, that's going to bring jobs back to America, though.
Well, according to Trump, everything's going to go good, right? According to the fucking white tea man that never went for a day in his fucking life, don't even know what a bean tortilla fucking is. Oh, he knows, right? Then let me break this shit down one more fucking time for the idiots in the fucking back. We're never going to bring the jobs back. Never. It will be more expensive to bring the jobs back.
Okay, so
We're a customer. We
Let-
are customers. We like to go to the cheap side of the Ville and pay our shit. We bring it over here. I'm not paying for a $3,000 phone. You got me fucked up.
let me ask you just a straight up question, Gangsta Grandma.
Oh, am I fucking racist? No, bitch.
No, I'm not about to ask you, are you racist? I'm not going to ask you that. What I'm going to ask you is, out of a whole term and now almost 4 months of a second, has Trump done anything you can give him credit for? Anything at all?
I told you the damn dog, Bill. The
Okay.
damn dog, Bill.
Protecting
That's all
animals.
he did. What has he done? He hasn't done nothing, man. I mean, the terrorists, when does people ever fucking learn the first damn time? Once they show you who the fuck they are, whoever gifted me, thank you. But when they show you who the fuck they are, they're going to show you who the fuck they are. The damn farmers went bankrupt the last time. We had to give them money to do it again. Now look, what did they do again? They voted for the sorry ass, so I don't give a fuck about them anymore. They voted for it's like this. Fuck you once, shame on you. Fuck me twice, shame on you.
Okay, so that's hilarious. But what if you're gonna suggest that you don't give a damn about farmers and folks who may have voted for Trump that are going through a little financial hardship? What is?
SNFO.
But is the problem really Trump, or is it that the Democrats just look like such a horrible choice that folks would rather vote for Trump no matter what because the Democrats are not offering anything?
Okay, like you have a crybaby, Steve D. I don't respect you that call you racist. Let me tell you something. You voted for a fucking racist. That's who the fuck you are. Okay? You don't go sit there and vote for a racist. I'm not racist because you believe in what the fuck he's doing. Okay? That makes you a racist. You believe that he's pulling kids away from fucking families. He's tearing up families. He's taking the black and brown people out of there. You are a racist because you believe in what he's fucking doing.
What has
And
Trump?
Mr. Racist,
Trump.
walk like a fucking duck, talk like a fucking ducky with that quack quack.
What has Trump done since he's been in office to make you say? I mean, that he actually has done?
Right. Right.
Yeah, really.
Girly pop. See, that's why you're fluffing. Yes, master. Huh?
What policies have Trump put in? What policies have Trump put in place? Hold on. What policies has Trump put in place? President Trump put in place that has harmed or hurt people of color.
For one, he hasn't even did no policies.
So why are you calling him racist?
He hasn't even passed the bill. What he's doing and all the shit he's doing is illegally. He's stopping people from getting asylum. He's stopping people at the border from getting asylum. That's illegally. Okay? Illegal. What he's doing. But yeah, the white man will come around and say, you know what, I'm being G-side. Hey, no, he's not. No, they're not. They're just as racist as that white G-man is.
I think the people, I think the American people, though, want these immigrants to have a harsh treatment so it'll disincentivize any more of them from trying to enter the country
Why
illegally.
can't we send the white man back then?
It
Why can't we send them back?
ain't that many of them over here.
The white man? What are you talking about?
What do you mean? What do you mean? You want to send back folks who came to the country 3 or 4 generations ago, or 6, 7
Hell
generations?
yeah, send them all the fuck back.
No.
Send them all the fuck back. Because the Mexicans was here before they was. Why are you sending them back? This was their land too. Why are you sending them back?
Well, I mean,
Why? They're hard working people. They're hard fucking working people. You know what though? You know what's so fucking funny? He's sending our farm workers the shit back, right? But bringing the people in, the white man that has never did nothing for our country, hasn't paid a bill, hasn't paid no taxes to our Social Security, nothing. But they're sending them back. They're giving them free iPhones. They're giving them EPG cards. They're giving fucking free houses. Why aren't our veterans on the damn street? Go fucking. But they're all for the vets and shit, right? They're all for this. But you know what? Though the Mexicans didn't get that kind of shit. But they are. They're getting the white privilege.
Are they
don't have
getting?
it, Chucky.
Are they getting?
Pittsburgh.
Are they getting free? Are they getting free iPhones when they come here?
Yes, they are. Go Google it. Google's free.
She's saying that the South African immigrants, the white South Africans, are getting free iPhones.
Housing and shit that the Mexican people did not get. And you know what's funny? It's the church. The president, I can't even say the Presbyterian or whatever, that church said, no, I'm not helping because it's racist to what he's doing. They called him out. The Pope just called him out. Go fucking figure.
How do you respond? Like Jeremiah Brown in the comments says, we only got about 100 refugees from South Africa at this point, and compared to millions coming across the southern border. How do
They
you?
want to bring more. They want to bring more. I don't give a damn. No. They don't bring those white tea bucket ass trash people up in here. Why? If black and brown people can't come up in here, they can't come up in here. How about that?
Why are you calling them white trash?
Because they're white nationalists. They don't like us. Pookie, didn't you read? Don't you know what the white South Africans are about? They're not nice people. They're racist.
You think everyone in South Africa that's white is a racist?
Did I say everyone? I said the white tea ones are. They are. They are racist. They don't. I think you guys need to get educated. You guys really do need to get educated. They took land from the black people. Yeah, I can't even say the Africana, whatever. That's kind of.
But Gangsta Grandma, the people.
They are racist.
The people who took land from the black Africans, all of them are dead. That was a few generations back.
I don't give a damn. They steal their blood. They steal their blood. And they're still treating Africans like shit. What the fuck are you talking about? See, you don't even know your own history, do you?
Well,
Oh, bro, girly pop, you over here plugging for the white man. You don't even know your own fucking history.
well, I don't live in South
Damn.
Africa, so this is not my
Why,
history.
you're black. You're from Africa, okay? You may not be, your black ass may not be right there, but your ancestors was Pookie, Ray Ray, girly pop.
So let me ask you this. If I'm living in a house that my great grandmother took from you, am I racist because I'm living there?
I would take my house back. That's how fucked up I
Well, wait. Let me clear that. I said it the wrong way. If I'm living in a house that my great grandmother took from your great grandmother, am I racist for living there?
I don't think you're racist for living there, but you're racist though.
How?
Your blood is racist.
How?
Because the Afrikaners, I'm virtually no down there. I don't give a damn because they don't like me any fucking way. But Afrikaners, they are racist. You need to go look at the history and the books. They are very, very racist. They're nationalists. The Christian nationalists. They are. The Dutch. The Christian nationalists.
I'd have to.
And I'm not saying typical white people. I'm not saying our allies and stuff. No. They're Christian nationalists. And you know who's running this country now? It's Christian nationalists. Your beloved MAGA is Christian nationalists.
So you think MAGA are Christian nationalists based on what?
Yep. But are you fucking serious?
I mean, Trump
There
said
was Bibles back in school.
Trump is on it.
They're taking black history out of schools. They're telling you what you can and cannot read.
How
Hell
can
yeah.
how can Trump be a Christian nationalist when he stated he's not a Christian?
How can a white man be a white man?
I don't know what
Are
that
you
means.
stupid?
I don't know
Are
what
you
that
damn
means.
stupid? Are you that damn stupid? He can say a lot of shit. He ain't no Christian, I can tell you that. The Christian nationalists are not even real Christians. You know what? If Jesus was here today, he'll be a Democrat. Because you know what God says in the Bible? God says feed the poor. God says if you deny food, you're denying me food. You deny people clothing, you deny me
Wait a
clothing.
minute. Think about what you just said. You said if Jesus was here, he would be a Democrat. So
Because we take care of the poor. We don't think about ourselves.
so you're telling
We think about the
me
poor.
you're telling me Jesus would be hanging around with folks that are okay with terminating the life of the unborn and transitioning to other genders?
You know what? One sin's no greater. God would. Because God knows one sin's no greater than the next sin. And it isn't no child. Do you feel that? It isn't no child. It's a fetus. It's an organism. It's a bug, actually, until it comes into 20 to 24 weeks. You know what I mean? So give me, fuck me with that bullshit.
All right, well, I got one last question to ask you. I think this was an interesting coming from Easy There Killer says, hello, he said left my ass off. He says, you think Jesus would be okay with chopping off little boys' dicks?
Who does that? Who does that?
He's suggesting that Democrats do
Who
it.
does little boys like that? The white man would, though. See, let me tell you something. They always throw that shit. Say, we got pregos. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
And SAers, the Democrats, all that. No, it's in the church. Indoctrination's in the church, sweetheart. How many times we had priests and stuff touching on little boys and stuff? How many times? We don't worry about trans women and stuff in bathrooms and stuff because we're most safer for them. For us, being in the bathroom than a straight white man in the bathroom, okay? They're the pedophiles. They're the ones that come after us. We're not safe around the white teen man at all. They're the most dangerous in the country. They like to rape women. They like to incest their own people. Hell to the fuck no. Cis men are dangerous. They're dangerous. We're not worried about trans women and men. They mind their business. They don't give a fuck who we're messing with. Why are we more worried about them?
That's a good point. I can't argue with that. I gotta move it on though.
Let me tell you something. Why are we more worried about people living their truth when half the motherfuckers don't even live their truth? They're DLs. They like it in the ass and stuff. Let me tell you about DL men, okay? Let me break this shit down. The white T-man are mostly on a DL. Because let me tell you a little thing about Grandma, okay? Grandma be doing some funky shit on the side. Not be making $6 or $7 grand, okay? And they be
Wait, Grandma, you telling me you're telling me wait, are you telling me that you're a hoe?
I'm not a hoe, no. Do you know what dominatrix is? You know what that is?
You said 6 or yeah, 6 or,
Okay, I'm dominatrix, okay? I have 8 inches, 12 inches, okay? Yes. And honey, they pay me $6 to $7 to $8 grand.
Oh my God, I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting that.
They GLs, okay? They the GLs. They go back to the homies. They go back to the wives. They don't say nothing. Okay?
I gotta go. I gotta go, Gangsta Grandma. I was not expecting that. Yes, I am. Yes, I
I'm
am.
being honest.
I gotta go. I gotta go. Wow. I didn't expect that. But I will say something. While she was tearing me a new one, which is absolutely normal. I don't mind the criticism. I don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. You can criticize me from any side of the aisle because at the same time, I may do the same to you. It's all about free speech here. But I will say this. She's actually correct. And now, she's attacking it from a racial standpoint, saying that, white men are more of a danger to kids than the LGBTQ community. Now, she's saying it from a racial standpoint, and I'm not going to tackle it from a racial standpoint, but she is right. There are far more straight people, and I'm going to even say females too, but there are far more straight people, percentage-wise, per capita-wise, sheer number-wise, however you want to put it, than there are transgender harming kids. She is 100% correct about that. Your children are far less safe around a straight male than a gay or transgender male. And I don't think there's any argument to that at all, even though we keep going after the trans community like they're harmful to kids. How many times you read articles about a teacher that was sleeping with a student, or a coach that was sleeping with a student, or a Boy Scout leader? I mean, these are straight people. These are all straight people. You don't read a lot of stories about the transgender community or gay people doing this to kids. She's right about that. Now, she used it from a standpoint of white men. That's a different conversation to have, but what she said in regards to that is absolutely correct. She is absolutely correct about that. Your child is far more in danger sexually around a straight person than they are from some of these people from these other communities. Georgia Bennett said if she voted for Biden, then she voted for a racist also. I'm going to push back on that. I mean, I've done videos on this stuff and everything. The claim that Trump loves all folks and Biden is the racist, I'd have to see how you make that argument, how you come up with that. I'd have to hear your facts or hear your information. What would make you suggest that Biden is the one that does not like people of color and Trump does, when you look at Biden and he is literally surrounded by people of color and Trump is not? When you look at all of the appointments on his cabinet versus Trump, it's one of those cases, and thank you, Dorjan, for the support, but I'll tell you right to bat, it's one of those cases of don't believe your lying eyes. If you put Biden's administration on a screen and you saw all of the folks in his cabinet and all the folks he's appointed, and you did the same thing to Trump, it would be a hard sell to say that this dude is racist and that guy is the one that loves people of color. It just doesn't fit what you're actually looking at. And the same would apply to Biden's policies versus Trump's as well. I mean, Biden, we're talking about the George Floyd bill. I mean, Biden was obviously he definitely was favorable to Black Lives Matter. Trump considers that a terrorist outfit. I'd have to see what you're basing that on. If you're going to say that Trump loves people of color and Biden is the racist, I'd have to certainly see what you're basing that on, because I don't know. I can't play devil's advocate on that because the evidence is overwhelming in my opinion. But let me go back to the bonds. Imagine if Barack Obama got a free $400 million jet from Qatar. Yeah, they would go ape shit about it. Dencal, good evening or welcome to the program. Never said Trump is it. Wow. I just know Biden is. So you're saying you never said Trump is not racist. You just know Biden is. Well, I'll tell you this. If Biden is racist, it's kind of like when Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act and allegedly stated, I'm going to have N-words voted for me for the next 100 years or whatever. That would be Biden. You can say he's racist, but he's done a lot for people of color. So, but Dencal, what do you think about that? Do you see Biden as racist?
No, I see him as having been raised
in that era.
A racial society,
Yeah.
yes. And I think over time, his views of the of the black race has obviously changed. Now he's still an old timer, so he's got his old ways of saying things and cliches that still come out of his mouth. But if you look at his actions, they are the opposite. Like if he's a racist, he's got to be the worst racist in history.
But they say that about Trump too. That why would a racist do this? Or, I mean, improve jobs in the black community or allocate money to HBCUs. They say the same thing about Trump.
Yeah, but I hear you, but that's just a talking point. He's not improved jobs in the black like that. That's just like a narrative that people have said. Just like they was talking about the opportunity zones. Have you ever heard anybody get on your show or any news shows at Fox News and them get on there and say the benefits of the opportunity zones, except for it's used as a talking point?
No, I have not. I don't even know what that is.
When they say, well, the black unemployment was the lowest it's ever been, and blah blah blah. Well, then you have to go back and look where Biden surpassed his numbers, but we don't give him credit. We can't just do one without the other.
Yeah. And I see the comments. Adolph McSummon said that black unemployment was at a historic low during Trump's term. Well, as Dencal has said, it went even lower under Biden, though. Trump did have very low unemployment, but Biden broke those numbers. So it wouldn't even. But by the way, getting unemployment very low, that is not considered doing something for a specific community. If the whole country is enjoying low unemployment, now if all of a sudden there were plenty of jobs in the black neighborhoods and the whites were walking around at the unemployment line, you might have an argument. But getting unemployment low across the board is not something you're doing for the black community.
Right, and and if you want to go on a purely statistical basis, regardless of when it's come down to its lowest point, it's always been historically about double of white unemployment. So if it goes down from 9 to 6, but white unemployment is down at 3, it gives us an overall 4%. That's not a president doing nothing. That's a floating boat. What do they say? A rising tide floats all boats. Like everybody's going to benefit if the economy is doing well. So you can't just say, okay, since this person was in office, that means the black people did better, or vice versa. Like so, that's an ignorant argument to really.
Well, he's also followed up by saying Clarence Thomas Supreme Court hearings. Check out Biden on that. I don't know what that's referring to. What does Clarence Thomas Supreme Court hearings have to do with Biden? I'm not. Any connection you see in that? Yeah, I don't know. But let me ask you this. Go ahead.
No, I mean, unless it's something new that just came out.
I have no clue. But you see the piece behind me says tired of winning. I'm asking that question. Is it not time to admit that Trump is a winner? We're talking about his campaign, a lot of his campaign promises. People are starting to favor the economy. His rule, the way he wants to, his agenda, whether it's threatening to violate the Constitution, whatever the case may be, he's essentially doing whatever the hell he wants, up to and including birthright citizenship, talking about a third presidential term, getting rid of habeas corpus, due process, defying the Supreme Court. His personal finances are just, the sky is the limit, creating his own cryptocurrency, multi-million-dollar parade in his honor. He's defeated 2 impeachments, 91 federal charges, 34 felony convictions, and he's taken out revenge on virtually all of his adversaries. Most of the politicians that he considered as an enemy are either unemployed or sitting quietly by, afraid to speak. Law firms have caved and have given him free work, and he has stopped federal funding from everything from Harvard to Columbia University. Is he not winning?
Yes. There's no question about whether he was winning or not. I think the question was, where I kind of challenge your the way you're depicting it, is he never told the people that he was going to be winning. He framed it as they were going to be winning. We were going to be winning. So now that you say that and you've reeled off all of those things to where he himself personally is winning, which is not the job of the president of the United States to just win at everybody else's expense. So I'll go to my list. I'll say one. Gas is not under $2.
Does he have to get it that low to be winning?
That's what he told us.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
These are what he said. You going off of what he said, and now I'm going off of what he said when he didn't get done. He said that our grocery prices would be lower. That's not true.
Are you sure? I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that grocery prices are going down.
Yeah, you're hearing it from who?
The media.
From which media?
Keep going. I'll see what I can find while you're talking.
Okay. A 50% decrease in our car insurances.
I don't know why the hell he said that.
Landlords will reduce rent.
I don't know why he always said that either. I don't know how he can make car insurance or landlord rent go down. I don't know what a president can even do to make that happen.
Home prices will go down. We will be at sub 3% interest rates.
I'm hearing interest rates are dropping.
In the 3% interest rates is what he said.
Okay. That might be a bit much.
End of the Ukraine war in January. We're not going to even say a day one. In January. End of the conflict in Israel. Lower taxes for families making under $200,000.
Okay.
There's so many things he said. Like, we could go back and forth between this, but this list that I just described would be us winning.
I don't
not
think
him winning.
Yeah, I don't think the goal was ever for us. I think the goal, it's kind of like if your favorite sports team wins a championship and you say, people in your town say, we won the Super Bowl that year. You didn't win shit. They did. The team did. But that's how people talk. So I think Trump is kind of like that. If Trump wins, then people tend to think that they won. But I want you to hear this before we continue on. Because I'm hearing this for the first time, but I think it kind of goes with the conversation we're having. If I can get my...
So the price of eggs may be going down a little, but that's not the whole picture. So the price of eggs is going down, but well, what else is going on?
There's been a massive increase in prices across the board.
It's not getting any better?
It's not getting any better.
But I heard eggs were down. Alan says his family of 3 is up to $800 a month on groceries.
That's kind of the high right now, and it's hard to even stay within that $800 range now.
Little Chloe here along for a happy ride.
Well, they are shopping at Whole Foods. The weird thing is, I was looking for articles that suggested prices went down. This one says grocery price. It sounds like they said the fucking opposite. It says grocery prices fell for the first time this year, but shoppers remain cautious. I don't know why this article is titled "Grocery Prices Go Down." This dude.
Because it's a narrative, but when you ask the actual people, it's not going down. But if you want to have an argument with MAGA online, they're going to say, yeah, it's going down because Trump said it's going down.
Yeah, but MAGA has to go grocery shopping. Why would they say grocery prices are going down when they're paying more at the grocery store?
I mean, because it just depends on what, like there are thousands of different items that people buy in the grocery store. We know that eggs are going down because the situation with the bird flu is getting better.
Right.
It's not because of anything that Trump did. So if egg prices go back to normal, what they were, $2.50, $2.70 a dozen, that's not because Trump is like doing some magical shit. It's because they're getting a hold of the bird flu situation. So we have to be careful when we say, well, prices are going down, because they're never going to go back down to what they were before. Like, all we could wish to do, even when Biden was in office, was stabilize the inflation so that the rate of increase slows down. Not that the price are going to ever go back to,
President Mark's first 100
Yeah, but
days.
you're making it sound like, okay, I mean, because like I said, we all go to the grocery store. You're making it sound like MAGA would deliberately lie on the price of groceries just to defend Trump. You wouldn't say that now, would you?
Listen, I am not saying that the price of increase hasn't slowed. That's what I was saying.
Okay. All right. All right, fair enough. What else did you have on it? Did we cover your list?
We also had the no tax on Social Security, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. But
What happened to that? No tax on tips. Whatever happened to that?
In this big budget bill, they have proposed, I think, 2 of those things, but they're likely to get cut once they do the reconciliation. So I don't know, those are things that we can't say yes or no about, but I'm just saying these were things, that's why I kind of skipped them, because we don't kind of know, but the things that he told us that were going to happen immediately are not happening. We know that the price of cars just went up. Ford announced that their cars are going to be going up from $2,500 to $5,000 per unit, because of this tariff stuff that's going on. So, to say groceries went down, so that means your bananas cost 3 cents less per pound. Is not really what's going to benefit us. When you say we winning, we got to see something that's helping our pockets. And as you can see, those people in that store, who they don't say who their political beliefs align with,
right?
But they say I don't see it.
Yeah. And that's kind of the same thing that was going on under the Biden administration, as they were constantly telling us as well that the economy was doing very well, and people were saying, hell, I was once saying it here on TikTok, is that you're saying one thing, but the people when people look at their bottom line, they're not seeing the economy doing as well as you're saying. So what we're indicating here is that Trump is doing the same thing, telling people something that they're not personally seeing.
Right. And so just like I was having a conversation with Cedric Haney about the stock market, and his, part of his argument is, oh, you seen it yesterday, the stock was up 1,000 points. I bet you, I said, but you didn't want to have this conversation when the Dow was going down 1,500 points about 3 weeks ago when Liberation Day happened. You forgot that part. So yes, I am making up some of the money that I lost, but I am still not back to where I was before. And just because we have an up day or up couple of days does not negate the days when we lost $10 trillion from the American.
How does that work though, with the stock market literally being on a roller coaster because of Trump's tariffs since Liberation Day, April 2nd? Every other day the stock market's going up, it's going down. How does that? I mean, people have got to be making a killing and getting seriously hurt in this. I mean, how does that work?
You got the people who do day trading and stuff. The people who do, who they do puts and they do shorts and all of that kind of stuff. Yes, they're the ones who are making a killing because they can profit off of this up and down, off of this, this instability. But the regular people who have money inside 401ks, who have big diversified portfolios that they don't make a lot of quick moves here and there, they're not making money like that. But what you see in the market is, is improvements, but we don't see that the money has gone from those big stable 401ks into these day trading people who are making money hand over foot, who are waiting for Trump to say, go ahead and get in today. I'm getting ready to do something. That's market manipulation. And any president can use market manipulation.
Any chance you believe that if let's say
it's supposed to be against the law, that's why they don't do it.
Any chance, let's say the Democrats do win the midterms handily, any chance there might be some kind of disciplinary action against Trump for things like potential insider trading?
No, because the people have already, the Supreme Court is already no, we gotta forget about doing anything to him. But you can put a stop to all of this madness going on, because you will then have the ability to strike down or even bring up investigations, which the Congress right now, they're doing nothing. Like Johnson, all of this stuff about the plane, about his Bitcoin, about all of this stuff that we all know is a conflict of interest. That's like me just having me just having a open account in my name as the president,
Yeah.
that anybody who wants to could just deposit money into it, and then me saying I don't have nothing to do with that. That has no influence over me.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I think that I've heard negative stuff said about Congress my whole life, but this has got to be the most do-nothing group of Congress that I have ever seen. I mean, because Trump is doing so much via executive order, and they're not even voicing an opinion on most of it. I mean, it's one thing to be a do-nothing Congress when the president is only, on TV every now and then. This guy has signed like well over 100 different executive orders, and they're not even giving their opinion on most of this shit. Like, they literally are a do-nothing Congress. Just like doing nothing.
Yeah, they just had a vote last week to abdicate their own power to control tariffs. Like, they literally just said, we don't want it. If they're under the Constitution, that's their power. But they just voted last week or the week before to say, we're going to let him do whatever he wants to. And which is crazy, because most Congresses always fight to keep control.
Each branch of government meant to be checks and balances against each other don't normally want to give up power, but they're kind of, people talk about Trump being a dictator or whether he is or whether he is not. They've kind of pretty much said, if you want it, sir, the role is yours. That's what it comes across as.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but I just wanted to get two quick subjects out before I go. I wanted to say, these people are talking about how great this is, that he's going to accept this jet and that they're going to give it to him. They're saying overall it's going to end up costing, the whole situation is going to cost us about $750 million.
What?
They have to take the whole plane.
What?
Take the whole plane and dismantle the damn thing, because they have to figure out if there's any air tags or any kind of spy gear. That's a big ass plane.
Right.
How are you going to verify that there's nothing? It's not like the movies where you can just walk around with the little wand and be
Right.
like, oh, there's the microphone, So, taking into consideration that, and then they're going to have to redo it once it goes back to Trump's library. They're going to have to go in and remove all of this, all of the national security stuff, all of the, the skiff that's going to be built, and they're going to have to remove all of that stuff. So it's literally going to cost us more to do this out of taxpayer money to get a fucking loaner for Air Force One, when they can, people are saying that plane has been around since 91. It has, but guess what? Every damn piece or part on that damn plane, Air Force One, has been replaced.
Right.
That thing is like brand new.
Yeah.
They can call it what they want to, but if they have to replace the engines or to get them overhauled, like I'm sure they do, that thing could go, we got Navy aircraft and planes that have been operating for 50 years.
But Stevie D asked a good question. Where are you getting that $700 million number from to get this plane operational?
It was all inclusive. It's not just saying 750 million, because obviously they have to guesstimate. Nobody can give you an exact number. Just like they saying that the plane is worth 400 million. Some people say it's worth 450 million. So I'm not gonna get caught up on one specific.
Yeah, I typed in 700 million, and Reuters is one of those. I mean, they are saying that. I mean, so you're not pulling it out of your ass. It is being said. Yeah.
But I do understand that it's going to take millions and millions and millions to even get this plane to where it could be considered the transportation for the president of the United States. What the thing is like an air fortress, like it can survive like a nuclear explosion and all kinds of shit like that. So we know how much money it's going to cost to retrofit something like that when they're already in the process of building something. So however many hundreds of millions of dollars it costs will come out of our pockets.
I was going to say that the good thing is it won't cost him, so that's why it doesn't matter.
Right.
He's not paying
the
it.
craziest thing, because he ran on this, I'm not taking the payment, and I'm not this, and I'm not that. He goes into the White House, and he puts up all of this gold-plated stuff and turns it into, like, the wintertime Mar-a-Lago, and spending all of our taxpayer money just wasting it.
I got to move it on, but it sounds like you're definitely admitting the guy is doing a lot of winning. Just
Oh,
winning.
yeah, no doubt. He's winning, but we're not.
All right, then, Cal. Thanks for coming through.
All right, take care.
All right, and what he is saying, I was trying to see if I could find more updates on that, but I mean, he is right. It is going to cost quite a bit of money to turn that 747 into something that's safe enough for the president to fly. I can't find a $700 million number in the terms of a news report, but I did find it on Reuters. And also I do understand that with my beloved MAGA audience, unless it's coming out of Jesse Waters' mouth or Sean Hannity, you ain't gonna believe it anyway. I mean, it don't matter what the number is. If it ain't coming out of somebody you trust, you're not gonna believe what the number is. But he is right. When you think about the size of a 747, shit, it's the length of a 747 has got to be the length of a city block or two, right? Probably the width of one as well. There are so many places. Now, he mentioned air tags. Think about how small an air tag is. You can put it on your keychain. There are so many places to hide stuff like that on an aircraft. You could probably take an air tag out of its packaging. I mean, think about something like something as small as, a secure digital card. Those little memory cards you put in your laptops or in your digital cameras back in the day. You could probably open the packaging of that up, take the little microchip that's inside of, because inside of these cards, the actual computer portion is even smaller. They just have to put it in casing so you can hold it in your hand. You could probably put that on an aircraft and paint over it. I mean, it's literally that small that you could probably literally put it on the outside of an aircraft or something and just paint right over it and it's on there. It's that little. I mean, think about how big a 747 is. It is going to take a lot to make that aircraft safe enough to be operated at the toppest levels. I don't even understand, in my opinion, why he would do that. I believe that, okay, you don't want to turn down the jet is what Trump is saying. And that has its own ethical issues. But let's say, for instance, you do take the jet. Take the jet, auction it off to the highest American businessman, and then use that money to do whatever you got to do with Air Force One. But trying to make that jet flight worthy is a mess. It is a mess because you can take a simple microchip that might be the size of the tip of your finger, open it up and add an additional circuit to it that might do all sorts of havoc on the plane, such as at 30,000 feet, I want you to turn the elevators down. And that way you got an unrecoverable aircraft. I just don't understand why they would even touch that. Other than Trump really wants it. I mean, you got to assume everybody around him is saying this is a bad idea, but when you're afraid to really speak out, it is what it is. Let me go back to the box. No, sir, we are using it to deport illegals. Then do that. Well, wait a minute. This plane has like 9 showers and bidets and shit. You're not going to put an illegal immigrant on that. It's comical, but that's just not going to happen. Now, what you could do, talking about the guy who takes no salary, loves America, take this jet, auction it off to the highest American businessman bidder, and use that money to build a few C5 Galaxies or whatever the hell, or hollowed out 747s that you are going to deport people on. You can do that. I mean, you don't want a plane like that deporting people. I mean, you want something that's hollow where they're just basically sitting in jump seats. Take this one, sell it, and go out and purchase 2 or 3 747s used or whatever the case may be. That plane could probably buy a whole fleet of smaller aircraft and then use those for your deportation process. There you go. No salary, my ass. He's made $3 billion rather since in office. Well, I'm just simply saying Trump said he didn't take a salary. Continuing on, kickbacks are more extravagant than a presidential salary. And that is true. That is true. Let me go back to the box. I agree with you, Tim. Sell it for a cause. Yeah, that would make Trump look awesome. The guy that's claiming that he wants to do everything for America is not taking a salary. If he took this jet and auctioned it off put his signature on it, whatever the hell you want to do to make it worth even more money, whatever you want to do. You know, with the people that Trump knows, he could get this jet worth $400 million and probably convince his kind of people to give him as much as $1 billion for it. And then use that money to go out and buy maybe a fleet of smaller aircraft, and then you can use it for your deportation process or whatever the hell you want to use them for. Now it looks like you're doing something for the country. But when you're talking about taking this aircraft, using millions of dollars of taxpayer money to make it safe for you to fly, and then when you leave the White House, the jet goes with you, whether it's your presidential library or whether you continue using it, you ain't doing shit for the country with this. You're keeping that. And you're making the taxpayers keep it up. That looks like you're doing things for you. As I stated, he is winning though. That is a win. It's a win for him. It's not a win for us. But when I say he's winning, this is part of it. Trump is winning. I don't think there's any denial that Trump is winning. Oh, he's winning by a lot. He is definitely winning right now. Looking in the comments, help the poor. Nope, he'll help the top 1% of the wealthy. But you got to understand, a lot of folks on the right believe that I've never gotten a job from a poor person. So if you help the wealthy, they'll in turn do things that'll help out the working man. Let me go back to the box. Arsafine, good evening. Welcome to the program. I think if it lets me bring you up. Arsha, good evening. Welcome to the program. Maybe the box is having problems tonight. We'll give it a second. By the way, tap the screen. We had a few issues with folks fucking taking TikTok down, which is why there's much smaller numbers here. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 100 and get the likes up to about 20,000. That would certainly be helpful for the algorithm. Brings in more MAGA. You know how the program is. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to the program. We are MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, we do believe in free speech. Liberals are welcome as well. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone on the program. You can be critical of anybody here, including the host. Evil Super Major Boo says, good evening, Super Tim. Wow. Is the shit, says Super Tim is the shit. Yes, I agree too. Sell it to the highest bidder and see what the outcome is. But hope it is not a bad sell. Yeah. I mean, if Trump sold that aircraft and deposited that money into Americans' coffers, can you imagine all the shit he could do to, think about it this way. He takes that jet and sell it for $400 or $500 million or whatever, and goes over to, let's say, now here's where you could get some liberal tears out of it. This is just nothing but strong political capital for Trump. Sell that damn jet, then you go land over in, what is that, Western North Carolina, the Appalachian area over there in Tennessee, and you can do all your photo ops about how you're helping out hurricane victims that Biden abandoned. Then you could fly to Hawaii and maybe do it again for all of the Hawaiian victims of fires that you claim that Biden didn't do shit with, didn't give them any FEMA money. You can literally just go around the country helping out MAGA and say that this is what happens when you vote in the right president instead of that loser liberal we just had. Literally taking the money. You ain't spending a dime of your own money. You're not spending a dime of taxpayers' money. You're spending all the money you got from that jet. And as I stated, he could probably get as much as $1 billion off of that jet. Can you imagine how valuable, how great that would make him look if he did that? It ain't like he really needs any of the money for this jet. He don't need the damn jet itself. Can you imagine the historical context, the Robin Hood visuals of him doing that, if he did something like that? You ain't even got to help liberals out. You can just go around the red states, helping out people that supported you, that are hurting financially. And you've done it from this jet from Qatar. You're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. You could help out a lot of people with that. You're not talking about buying them brand new homes and shit, but just enough to make differences in their lives. He could do all sorts of good with that. But I don't think the right is about that. They tend to call that kind of shit socialism. But looking in the comments here, paying how, what is it? Trump first, America last. He said Trump first, America last. Trump dyes his hair and wears more makeup than his wife. Well, yeah, he probably does dye his hair. I mean, but you think Trump? Well, he wears the orange shit. Okay, maybe so. I get $2 eggs from Amish stands. Trump wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire, unless he gets paid. Damn, you really paid Trump to be a money-hungry grubber to say something like that. Wow. Let me go back and see if Arsha Fine will come back up again. We'll try it with the box here. Tap the screen and get me on up to 20,000 in the likes. Arsha, good evening.
Hello.
Hey. So am I getting it right? Is it time to come out and admit that Trump is winning and winning a lot?
Well, I just tuned in a little bit ago. I mean, he is winning. I don't know if we, as America, are winning.
But you do admit he, as a president, is winning a lot. I mean, everything from his agenda, everything from his finances, everything from beating 2 impeachments, 91 charges, beating 34 federal convictions. He himself is winning a lot. Is this?
Wait, he didn't. Okay. Again, Trump is dodging bullets all the time, literally and figuratively.
Winning.
But yes, he is winning. I don't know if you're winning, Tim. I don't know if I'm winning. I don't feel like I'm winning.
No.
I don't know if you feel like you're winning.
No.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything from anybody I know, whether they are Republican or independent or liberal or progressive or Democrat. None of my people, none of my community, to the people that I speak with on a daily, have been like, you know what? My life is so much better today than it was last year.
Actually, there are people that are saying it. And I'll tell you why. It's more of a ceremonial victory, but for them, that means a lot. For instance, protecting, women's sports, which does nothing for the average American. But for some people, that's a big, they did not like the way the country was going with the LGBT issues. That's a big win in them. Same thing with...
For the 30 humans that happen to... Okay, yeah, that's definitely a major issue, and that defines my happiness.
It was discussed at every rally, Another one would be DEI, CRT, affirmative action, all of that. Another big win, ceremonial.
Yeah, it's a really big win for the white South Africans.
Well, I mean...
But you know who it's not a big win for? Okay, so I was looking up... Actually, I was watching it live on the briefing with the Homeland Security deputy guy and the other deputy State Department dude.
Okay.
And you know what I found absolutely disgusting? Is they said this on live television, they gave out their own personal phone numbers in case any of these Afrikaners needed some help or direction.
Wow.
So that they could easily assimilate into this loving country that welcomes the refugee. And I'm like, Tim, because the definition that this particular administration is giving, which is not valid, because I've actually looked into it since the last time I talked. No land has been seized by the South African government without compensation of millions of dollars. I mean, I read into it, like one farmer got $8 million for some of his property. But it takes a South African Black person to say, this was my original family member's land. It's not just like, hey, I want this. You have to prove. Anyway, beside the point, they're saying that there's genocide. And when any ethnic group, race, or people are being threatened just for being themselves, it is the American duty to give them refuge. Oh, I'm sorry. Then why aren't we giving Palestinians?
Yeah. I've been saying this over and over again on the show. I can play devil's advocate. I can see both sides of many issues, but the white South Africans, the Afrikaners, I cannot see the other side of that because there's so many things that look awful, such as, like you pointed out, when immigrants come to this country and they seek asylum, they don't get met by high levels of by the presidential administration. You're even talking about them giving them their personal phone numbers. That never happens. Also,
they said it live on TV during the briefing. So as the welcoming committee.
Yeah, I don't have any answer for that.
What I want to say, and I really hope the TikTok gods don't get angry about this, but it is true. There is one. I'm not even going to name it. There is one country and one government that seizes land of another people without giving them finances, without paying their dues. I'm sure you can figure it out. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get...
It's happening right now?
It's been happening for decades.
A country that's...
There's been a group of people that have been annexed out of their own homes of generations, no compensation, just being taken.
Oh shit, Israel is doing that in Gaza right now.
Well, they've been doing it, that's what I'm trying to say, for like the last 40 years. So if we're going to go on that level of what the Trump administration is saying, although the South Africans, if they decide that they want to sell the land, they're getting face value by the government, millions and millions of dollars. The Palestinians aren't getting shit.
I think you're overstating. I do believe that there are some people. I think there are some people in South Africa that are having things taken from them and are being met with violence. It ain't as widespread as Trump is making it sound, but it is happening. There are some people that are taking land back.
I've actually taken into really researching and reading this since the last time we talked because I wanted to make sure I had all the facts, ma'am. Mm-hmm. And
it ain't happening to nobody.
Has there been some, break-ins and burglary and violence? Absolutely. Approximately 72 Afrikaners meet violence every year in South Africa, but 9,000 Black South Africans meet violence or death in a year. So, it's like if we're going to talk about numbers, there's a lot of violence that's happening in South Africa. Is it race related necessarily? No. And calling somebody a boer is literally calling them a farmer. That's what it translates to. It is not it's not like calling somebody the N-word. There was a war between the Anglo-British and the Boers, which were farmers and happened to be white. The Dutch call it. It's just upsetting to me that these people get a welcoming committee and phone numbers, and you're telling me that they are in such dire straits.
They're getting preferential treatment. They are getting privilege. And I see in the comments, Stevie D says, "So you want refugees, but not the white ones." Got it. I kind of agree with you, Arsha.
I would love to have the Ukrainians. Why are we not taking them in? They're Caucasian. They're fair skinned.
Yeah.
Like why aren't we taking? There are plenty of countries where people are pale faced, let's just say, and that are going through,
So why do you think they're coming? So why do you think we're taking in South? So why do you think we're taking in South Africans?
Well, duh. Obviously Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And he has some he has some undertones about him with the way he speaks, thinking that the medical tests had to be lowered, otherwise Black people could never be a surgeon. That we're somehow inferior. He says this quiet things very politely, but out loud. So yeah, it's definitely that. I think that's the whisper in the ear. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But yes, Trump is winning. He's gonna probably get a really freaking cool ass plane. Yeah, you go Trump. You know, he reached some deals today in the Middle East that are business deals that were gonna not just help the people, most likely not at all, but definitely the people in government. And when I say people in government, his people in government that he's appointed, and it's definitely going to help him and his family. So yay, Trump, good job on working the deal. He is definitely good at work, but you know, I'm still waiting on his promise.
No, maybe after he's made enough.
Why in the world is Ukraine and Russia still having a war? I thought this was supposed to be ended last year when you were inaugurated, because you know you were going to do it in 48 days or 48 hours.
He wasn't able to.
Where is that?
He was too busy doing all the other good stuff for America. He wasn't able to get around to that yet.
He wasn't even. But remember his promise, even before my inauguration, if I'm voted in,
Yeah.
I will end the war.
Yeah.
Because of my amazing magic of making a deal.
I can't argue with you on that, but I think that he has won in enough other areas that I think a large portion of America, you know, listen, if you're putting gas in people's cars for significantly cheaper, you bring down inflation rates, the price of groceries and things like that, I think Americans will overlook a war that's happening somewhere else overseas that has nothing to do with them. I really think as long as the economy is strong and the border is secure, they'll overlook that stuff.
It's also really mind-boggling to me that his vice president goes on national television in an interview and saying, you know, the India and the Pakistan thing isn't our business. We're staying out of it because we're America first. And guess what? The next day he's like, Trump's like, I talked to them and we are getting involved. So I'm kind of like, JD, like, do you and your boss even talk?
No.
Or does he like literally just throw you out to, like, what is happening?
I think Trump is kind of like the pharmaceutical companies that now solicit medications directly to the consumer and they skip the doctors. That's Trump. I mean, he'll skip everybody and talk right to the American people. And the administration sometimes finds out right in the middle of a press conference. Like, he told y'all what? I mean, he doesn't go through proper channels. If he feels something or sees something he don't like or has something to say, he'll go online and just say it and skip every channel in between.
Well, I'm gonna say at this point, we all know if you don't know, you're not looking. But he and Melania at this point are separated. She's not hanging out. Ever since Stormy Daniels, that thing, she didn't show up. They have very little. She's not even with him at Saudi Arabia. She's probably hanging out in Mar-a-Lago or New York, just living her best life. You know, Melania, for the rest of the world, can you just give him some sexy time so he can stay off the fucking social media? Like, just for the sake of America.
That man probably got hoes all around him. Archie, I gotta move it up.
Because they're not keeping him busy.
Well, I mean, he's at the age now where you're kind of done with all of that. I mean, he's like almost 80 years old.
Really?
80?
Really?
80?
I know listen, I have 80-year-old clients that I spend time with, and they are very frisky. Not in that kind of way, Tim. Don't look at me like that. They talk out loud, and there's some stuff I don't.
Well, he probably still engages in locker room talk, but if he needs to, he can have the Secret Service sneak somebody into his quarters, or Lindsey Graham can come in there and jack him off. I mean, he can find somebody to do that. But in terms of being really frisky, I mean, he's 80 years old. He's got a whole country to run. Archer, thank you for coming through. Appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program, by the way. We're talking about Trump, tired of winning. And there's no denying that the man is winning. Having your facts does make a big difference. I agree with that. Super Major Boo, I do agree that having facts makes a difference. In fact, I wanted to hear something. This is going to be my first time hearing this as well. Now, this clip is in regards to what Trump is talking about in South Africa, but this is a few years old.
White South African farmers are seeking a role in land reform as the ruling African National Congress moves to change the constitution to allow for the expropriation of white-owned land to rectify racial ownership disparities. Francis Maguire reports.
More than 10 years ago, Sabi Suke and 15 other investors achieved a dream, one that few black South Africans get to experience, owning farmland. 472 hectares was first bought by the state from a white farmer and then transferred to a trust made up of hopeful black farmers. The land is in South Africa's fertile maize belt, but today lies fallow.
Real quick, if you heard what he said, the land was purchased by the government and then it's been passed down to blacks in that country. So what my last caller stated is that the land wasn't taken from them; they were paid for it. This clip I'm playing is 6 years old. This is 6 years old, but it does seem to back up what she was saying, that the land wasn't taken from the whites; it was purchased from. Now they may have not had a choice as to whether to sell it or not, but it doesn't sound like it was just taken from them, as the Trump administration is alluding to.
Fallow. Suke and her fellow investors weren't able to develop the land due to a lack of funding and training.
This farm does not benefit us. The government's never helped us. As you can see with this farm, we were never trained and we know nothing about farming.
Land ownership is contentious in South Africa. Most of it is still in the hands of the country's white minority. Since the end of apartheid in 1994, the ruling African National Congress has pursued a willing seller, willing buyer model, buying land from white farmers and redistributing to the black community.
So once again, there's that same statement again. They're buying this land from the white folks. Now we can figure out whether they're paying them the actual value of it, whether they're giving them a choice or an option of whether they want to sell it or keep it. Probably they're not giving them an option to keep it. It might be like eminent domain or whatever the case may be, but that does make it clear they're paying them for this. So the claim that their land is being taken from them doesn't seem to resonate here.
Cattle farmer Nick Serfontein is on a panel chosen by President Ramaphosa to speed up redistribution without hurting the economy. He says change is needed as emerging black farmers want to get into the market, but often lack direction. He also helps black farmers access loans they need to develop land.
For an emerging farmer to start, he's going to require at least, I would say, in the order of about 1 million rand, average commercial farmer, to recapitalize that farm, to put in infrastructure and to buy stock.
Serfontein has warned against the government pursuing a policy of redistributing land without compensating farmers, while some observers have also questioned the focus on land reform when there's a growing need for housing among the country's swelling urban populations.
I don't know, I gotta say this. Now there's more modern clips I can pull up, but I've, just like my last caller was saying, she kind of did research into this. I have today too, and I'll tell you this, it does seem like the Trump administration is overstating how the white South Afrikaners are being victimized. It doesn't sound like they're dealing with extreme violence or that they're coming in their houses in the middle of the night and taking every damn thing they own, like say the Gestapo would have in 1930, 1940s Germany. It does not sound like they're going through that, which then would cause folks to point to the fact that if you're going to bring them over here based on what they're going through, why are you skipping over other countries where citizens are going through far, far worse? Rwanda, the Congo, down in Nicaragua and some of the countries south of the border. The treatment down there is far, far worse. So why all of a sudden are these folks allowed to skip the line? Their treatment ain't that bad. And I'd be curious to hear somebody, because it was 59 of them so far, 59 of them, and there will be more apparently, but I'd be curious to see if some of those folks are interviewed and hear the stories of what they state was happening to them in their home countries. I'd be curious to see if they do that, because obviously the Trump administration needs to put people on TV that's going to say things that speak in concert to what they're saying. So you can't have a white South Afrikaner on television that has been given asylum in America, and he's like, it really wasn't that bad. You know, it's got to be somebody that's saying things that what the Trump administration is saying. But it does seem like the Trump administration probably over-exaggerated what they're going through, which would then lead to the obvious pushback, is that these folks got some kind of immigrant privilege by getting over here. And I don't think that's deniable because, you know, the Trump administration, a lot of my beloved MAGA have been saying constantly, we don't have a problem with immigrants. Just come the legal way. Get in the line like everyone else. These people didn't get in the line. They didn't get in the line at all. You're talking about folks that 3 or 4 months ago did not even have an asylum claim filed with the United States. And now they're on American soil already. No one, even under the Biden administration, got their shit approved that fucking quick. No one did. Not to mention, once they got here, as my last caller pointed out, they were actually greeted by the Deputy Director of Homeland Security. When does that happen? Where top tier members of the presidential administration actually meets you on the tarmac. Now, I can see if that happened for, let's say, Afghan refugees, where they literally put their lives in danger fighting alongside our soldiers on behalf of the United States. Them are the folks that you should meet when they get here, because they literally put their lives on the line doing our work. But these white South Afrikaners, they ain't did shit for the United States. Why would they get this type of preferential treatment? It is suspect. I mean, and I get what Steve said in the comments. You can't turn down white immigrants if you're okay with all these brown ones coming out. That's fine. But why are they getting this incredibly privileged treatment that nobody receives this kind of treatment? This is way above and beyond how anybody was treated as an immigrant coming in this country under the Biden administration and all of this other stuff. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. As my last caller pointed out, you got the deputy director giving the immigrant their personal phone number. Like, if you have any problems, give us a call. What kind of shit is that? Can you imagine Kamala Harris going down to the Rio Grande when they were coming in and handing out her phone number? If you got any problems, give me a call. What kind of shit is that? So it does raise a question as to what the hell is going on, not to quote the line from the Hangover movies, but what the hell is going on that they're getting this preferential treatment like that? Other than Trump is repaying a favor to Elon Musk. That's my humble opinion of what's going on. Elon donated hundreds of millions of dollars to Trump's campaign. I never was one to believe that there's anything known as a free lunch. Trump owes favors to the likes of Elon. That guy didn't give that kind of money for no reason at all. And he made a phone call. These are the people I need you to look out for. Period. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me if, after further investigation, some of these folks, the 59 that are here, turn out to have some kind of prior relationship to Elon or a close associate of Elon or a family member. It would not surprise me if some of those folks they're not just random South Africans. I can tell you that. I can tell you for certain, there's no way I'm going to buy that these folks are just random South Africans they picked. These folks, if you trace who they are and what they're involved in, it's probably going to turn something up. Now, I get that I'm speculating. I'm going to admit that I'm speculating, but there's no way in hell I believe you're going to send a jet to pick these people up and then have the Deputy Director of Homeland Security meet them on the tarmac and give them his personal phone number to just some random dudes. No, there's no fucking way that does not make sense at all. Looking in the comments, yes, let's find the facts first. Yeah, well, Quantum, you got to assume the facts are going to be available for you to find. They're not going to make that easy. They're not going to make it easy for you to find that. Of course, he worked for free for the U.S. government, gave his company subsidies. Like I said, I do believe that there is a reason why they're getting preferential treatment. And I see in the comments, no friend of mine says you hate her. Well, you would be the same. Look, any immigrant coming to this country and the president sending top levels of his administration to meet with them when they get here, and they're giving personal phone numbers. You're going to tell me it's hating to ask why the hell is that taking place? Who are these? Who the fuck are you guys? I mean, we got people that have come here running from the cartel, running from being human. We got people that have come here that's been mistreated before. Why the hell are they getting this grandiose arrival party? They're not the first people to come here that are claiming to be escaping horrible treatment in their home country. Why are they getting this treatment like this? It's not hating to ask that shit. Looking at the, like I said, I do believe that if it gets traced, something dealing with Elon Musk is going to come up. Out of all 59 of them, somebody worked for one of his companies in a high-level position, or is related to him, or is related to one of his spouses, or something. Something is going to come up, and it's probably going to end up being related to Elon Musk. That's just my guess, because that's who I believe called in a favor to make that happen. Trump is right now essentially closed off America to refugees. He has essentially closed the country and shut the border down. How the fuck did they get through? Nobody else can come here like that. How did they get through? Is it hating to ask that question? Looking in the comments real quick. They're seeking refuge from prejudice. What a joke. Yeah, that's it? People were seeking asylum from being killed. Well, they're mistreating me in my home country. Seeking asylum because of racial issues back home. I don't even know if that's a legitimate reason for immigrants to be allowed to stay here. That ain't nothing. Not to mention coming to America, you probably ain't gonna escape that shit anyway. Can I seek asylum for prejudice living here in America? Maybe, depending on how bad it gets, maybe. Because keep in mind, during the era of slavery, Canada would allow, people of color to, if you could make it to Canada, they were letting people in. So if it gets bad enough, I mean, when Trump came in, I think the last time, Canada was saying that any immigrant that could make it up there, they would give them a visa. So Canada has stepped up twice. But when Trump was talking about deporting them the first time, the Canadians were saying then, if you can find a way to get here, we'll give you a visa. So Canada might do it. What racial issues do they have? Black and brown are facing racism on this soil. Well, the claim is that they're taking their land. They're taking their land. They're being faced with violence. But as you've seen, the clip I played, which is 6 years old, but there's plenty of stuff online from South Africans. And I had a clip the other day. A white South African woman was also saying the stuff that Trump is claiming is not happening here. These people are being paid for their land. They're not being violently kicked off their land. They're not being hacked up with machetes or none of this other stuff. These people are, the situation has went from basically whites being on top to a position where there may be equal, or people wanting them to be a little bit less than equal. But the idea that they're being threatened with death and all, it doesn't sound like that's what's happening. It sounds like the Trump administration greatly exaggerated what they went through, what they're going through. Taking land, oh yeah, in their lives, tortured, etc. Yeah, that doesn't sound like that's happening. Taking land, first of all, you just heard the clip suggest that they're paying them for the land. And in regards to taking their lives and torturing them, that doesn't sound like that's happening to any significance. It just, I haven't seen any evidence where that's happening other than the Trump administration is saying that. The video is out on the internet, and the video speak volumes. The black man is so non-violent. What are you saying there? What are the stars saying? Okay, I don't know what that means. You guys are going crazy in the comments. Anyway, it would be all over the media, and that's true. If there were blacks taking land from white owners and torturing them and doing all of that shit, there would be a lot more media than what's coming from the Trump outfit. That is absolutely true. Didn't count. There would be a lot more media coverage of that. I mean, South Africa is a Commonwealth country. When I lived in Australia, you know, which was also a Commonwealth country, all of those Commonwealth countries communicate with each other. South Africa, the UK, Ireland. I mentioned Australia, New Zealand is another Commonwealth country. They communicate. If that was happening down there, you would have heard more about it. You would be hearing a lot more about that. And the fact that you're not speaks volumes. It don't fit their agenda. Well, whose agenda? Whose agenda? You are a low information voter. I like that. Okay, fair enough. Depends on where you're getting into some. Wouldn't Fox, and that's a great question, George Golden says, wouldn't Fox News be all over it if it was true? Excellent point, 100% true. If you had blacks basically doing to white South Africans what whites were doing to African Americans in this country 100 years or so ago, yeah, Fox News would be covering that shit in great detail. They would be all over that. They would have people on the ground in South Africa covering that. That's a great point. No, and the fact is they're not doing it because it ain't happening. But that is a good point. Fox News would really be all over that. And you would have heard a lot more about that from Trump during his first term. You would be hearing a lot more about that from the likes of Tucker Carlson and just MAGA circles in general. You would have heard, you weren't hearing about any of that shit until Elon Musk popped up. The right in this country were not discussing that stuff at all until Elon popped up, which is why I tend to believe Elon is the reason why you're hearing about it. They're gonna have to send Don Lemon to cover the story. Don Lemon ain't going over there. This is Elon's doing, said Steph Ty, and I tend to think so. I tend to think it is Elon calling in a favor. I mean, you get Trump $350 million. You don't do that out of the kindness of your heart. I know my beloved MAGA has this view that people love Trump so much, he has the best direction for this country, that gazillionaires just are inspired to give him hundreds of millions of dollars just because he's doing the right thing by America. There's no way I buy that. Because first of all, if I got infinite wealth, your policies ain't affecting me at all anyway. I'm gonna be all right no matter what. They're doing that because they're getting other shit from him. They don't give a damn about you lowering gas prices by 50 cents a gallon. I'm not. If I'm a billionaire, I'm not going to donate hundreds of millions of dollars to you so you can lower gas by a quarter or 50 cents a gallon. That's irrelevant to me. He's doing things for them that benefit them in other ways. It's as simple as that. Hunter got the Ukraine job. Elon got his people here. Both presidents used pay to play. Be objective. I can't argue with that. That's a good point. But now at least you are admitting you're using Biden for deflection. Fair enough. But at least you're not blindly defending Trump. You are admitting that all politicians use pay to play. The problem with this is the immediate pushback is that Trump bragged when he came to office that he was not going to be a typical politician. He was going to be different. He's not an insider. But when he starts doing this stuff, well, you know, they kind of all do it. So he didn't do that. But thank you, Stevie. I agree with you. Says I can call out Trump. Yeah, Trump can be bribed. The problem with this is when Trump came along and convinced folks that he wasn't taking a salary, made it clear that he was already a billionaire, that was one of the reasons people liked Trump. Is because, look, he has his own money. He's not even taking a salary. That's clear evidence that he cannot be bought. Has his own money already, and he's not even taking a salary. But now that you see him in office, I think it's pretty clear he can be bought. It's pretty clear. And it's also pretty clear he wants more money. Selling everything from Bibles to watches to shoes. So clearly, I don't know how much he had before he became president, but he clearly wants more. I don't think that's even up for denial. That guy's making a killing off of the presidential seal. So it is what it is. Do you love white people? Says Catch My Drift. Some. I got some folks that are close to me that are white. I love them. I don't know what that means. I mean, Do you love white people yourself? Do you love Hispanics? Do you love Asians? What is the question there? Fake a billionaire who grifts all the time. They love that though. The American people love that. Let me go to the box. MAGA Reacts. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Tap the screen, folks. Get the likes on up to about 35,000 if you can. Help the program out. MAGA, good evening.
Yo, you still talking about this white African thing?
No.
It's the stupidest I've ever heard of.
What?
Like, literally, it's 59 people. Do you think we complained or we cared when 59 Haitians came over, or 59 Cubans, or 59 Venezuelan, or 59 Palestinians? First of all, we got thousands of Palestinians coming here constantly. Immigrants from all over claiming asylum. You know, it's only.
Well, wait a minute. There's a lot more to it. You're skipping over stuff.
10,000 of them under a bridge at the southern border.
You're skipping over all kinds of shit. First of all, why did they didn't even have an asylum claim in 3-4 months ago? How did they get propelled to the front of the line while Trump is involved in the largest deportation in history? Can you explain that?
I don't care. Honestly, I don't care, because our issue with the immigration is not letting people in. We want immigration. We're pro-immigration. We just want to be able to control it. Whether we control it corruptly or fairly or whatever, I really don't care. People get asylum and visas and all kinds of shit really quick for a million reasons. You know,
No, they don't. I mean, who gets met by the deputy director of Homeland Security that gives them his personal number? When have you known immigrants to come here and the deputy director is waiting for them on the tarmac?
Again, when have we complained about anybody else getting VIP treatment? We don't care about that.
Constantly. You're talking about them getting you complain constantly. You're talking about them getting Obama phones. You're talking about them getting you complain constantly.
Well, that's like, again, we're talking about thousands of people getting Obama phones. I would never complain about 59 people getting Obama phones.
Yeah, you would.
Comparing 59 Obama phones, was it only 59 Obama phones, or was it thousands of Obama phones?
You would complain if it was 59 of them. Yes, you would.
I would not complain about 59 Obama. We did not complain about 59 Haitians. We didn't even complain about 1,000 Haitians. It was only when 10,000 were under a bridge on our southern border, which made no sense because Haiti is not a border state. And only when there was like 20 or 30,000 in some place in Ohio taking over the place and causing accidents and problems did we complain. You know, it had nothing.
But you're not hearing my.
You never brought it up.
Why is he shutting down the border but letting these white folks in? What is the purpose of it? Why are they getting in? Why are they getting in when nobody else can?
Listen, he's shutting down illegal immigration. As far as legal immigration, I have no indication it's shut down.
Yeah, legal asylum, legal refugee status is shut down as well. You can't come across the southern border as a refugee right now. That's shut down too.
But the asylums is not just the southern border. It's all over the world.
You're not getting in.
These people didn't do it at the southern border.
Hey, I don't think you realize what's going on. I think you're trying to defend Trump to the point where you don't realize what's going on.
I'm not trying to defend anything. I just find it ridiculous about complaining about 60 people. You're telling us the trans problem isn't a big problem because it's only a handful of people. But, you know, it's not like these 50 people are making it where we can't take on 1,000 Palestinians. You know, like with the trans problem, you're those few trans people are cheating other women out of their, you know, achievements. But here, they're getting VIP treatments, but they're really not cheating anyone else.
Yeah, they are.
And there's so little of them. They don't really like take away from anything. They're not taking away resources that should go to you know, our Americans or go to other immigrants.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Let me give you
money. They're not going to cost us.
You said they're not taking. You said they're not taking away resources that should go to other immigrants. How do you feel that Afghanis that helped our soldiers out in war are being sent back where the Taliban may execute them, but they're letting these people in?
I don't know the accuracy accuracy of that, but if it's true, I would be against it. No, it's
Okay.
fucked up. I'm not for that at all. And again, we've taken a lot more than 59 Afghanis. I've never, I said, we only started complaining when we got to the millions of people.
I
We
don't.
didn't even complain when it was 800,000. It was only when it was like 1 million plus every year, and we're getting record immigration over the border. Record uncontrolled immigration, where they're just crossing the southern border like it was nothing.
I don't. Well, you mentioned we haven't taken in 59. You don't know how many Afghans. As far as the Afghans are concerned, I don't care if it's 1 million. If you asked 1 million Afghans to help you out in that war, they all should get refugee status. Anybody you send back is like what?
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
And I just say I don't know the details of that situation, so I'll look it up, but. Again, if this African thing gets to the point where it's like even 1,000 of them, maybe then we could start talking. But 60 people, that's nothing. There's probably 60 people coming over to America on a whim any day of the week.
Whatever happened to one too many? One is too many.
Well, who said one too many?
You say that when Lincoln Riley. I mean, you always say that. You talking about the women's sports? One is too many. Whatever happened to that?
I've never heard one too many when it's like that. Well, one person dying is too many, but I don't think these people have killed anybody, have they?
I know. I don't.
Have one of the Africans, like the people who killed Riley.
But they're.
Yeah, they killed someone. Yeah, one is too many. One person dying is too many, but I don't think they've killed anyone yet.
Okay, not yet. I want you to hear this.
This morning, the Trump administration making moves to end protections for Afghan refugees in San Antonio and around the country.
News 4 San Antonio's Tawny Davis is live with the details and what it could mean for those currently here. Good morning, Tawny.
Good morning. According to Texas Public Radio, the notice of the Trump administration formally ending protective status for Afghans who do not have permanent residency was filed on Monday. This could result in the mass deportation of more than 11,000 Afghans who fled their home after the United States withdrew. Many of them live here in San Antonio. According to the Department of Homeland Security, that temporary protected status for Afghans cannot be renewed because there has been a drop in violence there, among other things. In an update, they said, based on DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's review and consultation with the Department of State, the Secretary determined that overall there are notable improvements in the security and economic situation, such that requiring the return of Afghan nationals to Afghanistan does not pose a threat to their personal safety due to armed conflict or extraordinary and
So in other words, Afghanistan is safe now. There's a drop in violence. There's no threats. Huh?
I don't agree with that at all.
Right. They're gonna get these people
They
killed.
can still apply for asylum. It doesn't sound like they can't apply for asylum.
They're gonna get these people. They're literally just making up an excuse to kick these people out. They're gonna get those folks killed. Now they're
Have they kicked out? Have they kicked out 59 of them yet? Have they kicked out one?
Got kicked out more than that. I mean, when you
No. This says that they could kick him out, which we don't even know if that's what it means.
they've kicked out a lot of them. Yeah, they have kicked them out though. They have kicked plenty of them out
I
already.
have to look it up. I will look it up and get back to you. In fact, let me try to Google it right now. Maybe I quickly Googled it. Because the other day, that Iraqis being our allies thing, I Googled in a minute. They are our strategic partners because we bought that. We built that country from scratch. We paid for everything.
Yeah.
They're definitely a strategic partner.
Yeah, but you do see that. Now he's taking in these South Afrikaners, and they're not facing anywhere near the drama that these Afghans are going to face when they go back
Yeah,
home.
50 of them. If we're talking about 59,000, then I would be right with you saying this is fucked up.
I mean, if you send somebody to their death, that's one is too many. If you're sending somebody to the hands of the Taliban, one is too many, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
And you know that's going to happen when he's
I don't want
talking.
any of those Afghanis deported.
Especially when he's talking about Afghanistan is safe now and their financial well-being is safe. I mean, you know that's not true. They're just making up some shit to kick them out.
I'm with you too. And now they're doing the same thing to Syria. They're trying to, I guess they're giving them, I don't know, they're kind of doing the same thing in Syria where they're removing sanctions to see if the new government's going to be a friendly government or if they're going to be another Taliban.
I don't know, but to me, what Trump is doing is going to cause, at least in terms of the Afghans, it's going to cost some lives. I mean, and of course they're not going to report that because it will make him look horrible. But you sending these folks back to Afghanistan, I mean, even if they just were over here working jobs and things like that, the wealth that they currently have, they're going to have Taliban trying to rob them. They're going to come back over there. You know, the girls now think that they have equal rights. I mean, you're sending people to get killed. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. Any young girl that grew up as an Afghan, but in America, she's growing up thinking she has rights and shit. You're going to send her back to this country that's going to treat her like she has no rights and all of that. I mean, you're going to get these people killed.
100%. Like, I agree with you 100%. With the details I have now from what you've told me and what I've looked up, I agree with you 100%. But as far as I know, I don't think they deported anyone. And definitely no one's died as far as I know, but we'll find out in time, you know, it's kind of too early. A lot of this shit, you know, people are talking their ass off because it's too early. In another year, half these arguments are going to be mute because, you know.
Well, let's put it this way: if you're going to end deportation protections for Afghanis, you gotta assume that's going to. Why would you protect them from being deported and then remove that? If you're removing that, then you're basically opening up the door for them to be deported. The idea that it's not going to happen seems crazy. Why would you remove those protections if you don't intend to have people deported?
They can still. I don't think that's what it means. I think.
Why would he do it?
Automatically take new ones.
Why would you remove the deportation protection from them?
So they don't automatically take. They don't have to automatically take in new ones. But Afghanis can still personally, like that. What you're talking about is an automatic. If you're from this place, you come in right away. Now they just have to apply for asylum, and they'll probably get easily accepted applying for asylum anyway. I really doubt the goal is to fuck over these people.
I thought the goal was, I didn't think the goal was to fuck over any people until I saw them start doing it. So, I mean, the Trump administration is constantly doing things that nobody predicted they would do. So when you say the goal is not to fuck them over, I want to believe you, but they fucked over so many people that I didn't think they deserved being fucked over. So I don't know. I can't say that with confidence.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Time will tell. I just don't want to jump to they're trying to deport 9,000 Afghanis when I don't have any proof that they deported one Afghani yet. I'm trying to Google it. I haven't found any reputable source saying they've deported anybody. I think they just don't want to take on new ones automatically. But all these people should be applying for green cards. They should be. I mean, I think they automatically get a lot of shit for working with us. So they're definitely interpreters and shit. I think they automatically get green cards and shit like that. So this might be I don't know. I don't know the details. And as far as I could find, I have not found any proof that they have deported any Afghanistan people.
All right. Well, go ahead. Say that again.
No, like I said, I have no proof that they deported any Afghanis. And, as far as the details I have,
a week after.
Killed or anything.
Well, I want you to hear this.
Afghans fleeing the Taliban will no longer have temporary protected status in the U.S. These protections are meant to shield migrants from returning to countries facing conflict. They were canceled by the Trump administration. Now some asylum seekers are receiving letters from the federal government asking them to leave immediately. As WRL's Heidi Kirk reports, that includes some people in our area.
I've been in prison. I've been tortured in different way.
It's the same story for many Afghans seeking asylum in the United States after facing religious persecution by the Taliban. This man asked us not to share his name, but was eager to share his story.
He got his face on. Just because we don't got his name, they can find out who he is. That's kind of funny, but here you go.
Go back to Afghanistan. We are not safe.
He showed us the email he received last week from the Department of Homeland Security. It tells him, quote, "Your parole will terminate 7 days from the date of this notice. And if you do not depart the United States immediately, you will be subject to potential law enforcement actions."
I have never imagined United States one day say, you should leave this country. It is normal. I feel not being safe in Afghanistan, but I've never imagined to feel not be safe in America.
He's one of thousands of migrants who came here after the Taliban takeover using the CBP One app, which was introduced by the Biden administration in 2023 to create a legal pathway at the border. He says he's currently on the I-94 visa, which allows a person to stay in the U.S. for a prescribed amount of time, and he's applied for asylum.
For me, I'm going to go to the court in 13 May.
So, I mean, now he's obviously being told to leave. You said you haven't seen anybody that's being deported. I don't know what happened to this.
He's applying for asylum and he's due for a court date. So he's going through the asylum
You
process.
really think under the Trump administration, all of these folks are going to win their court dates?
I mean, if you're an Afghani and you're worried about, you know, a minority of Afghani that are probably Christian is probably going to get killed if he goes back, I'm sure he's going to win his asylum. I'm a minority from Egypt. It's very easy for us to win our asylum because, you know, we're a minority, a Christian minority in the Arab country.
See, the problem is, though, with these folks.
Constantly.
Yeah, the problem is with these folks, I don't know if there's anybody behind to tell you that they got deported, but if they're getting these notices, the idea that all of these folks are going to survive that notice, they're going to all file asylum claims, they're going to all be allowed. Well, I don't know anybody that's been deported. If they're sending this many of these things out to these people, they're getting deported.
I don't know, man. I'm getting the feeling that these notices are like automatic, like mistakes. Like they automatically get sent out, and they're not really meant to be sent out like that. But we'll see. Like I said, I'm waiting for proof that someone actually got deported. I bet money most of these people have asylum dates, and they're gonna get approved for their asylum, and they're gonna end up staying.
Well, the problem is the way we treat these folks. How do you even get proof? I mean, they're here one day, they're gone tomorrow. It's not like there's anything left behind. How do you even get proof that one of them got deported?
Proof of bad things against Trump. The media's on top of him. If they get a wind of a single Afghani getting deported, it'll be all over the news. Especially one that helped us sign war, which I think they all automatically get their passport and green card and stuff. I'm pretty sure if Trump did it, we'll catch it.
Yeah. To me, it makes no sense to hear about all these folks getting these "you must leave immediately" notices and think that they're all going to somehow go to court and defeat and get allowed to stay under the Trump administration that's gung-ho on kicking people out. If all of them are getting the notices, I think it's safe to assume some of them are going to get kicked out, if not already gone. I mean, I don't think you need to see proof. You know the administration you're dealing with.
Well, these asylum judges aren't necessarily Trump judges. They're probably just as left-wing or, you know, in the middle or even right-wings. They'll probably still approve that. I really don't think he's got that much control of the asylum.
How you going to get asylum? How you going to depend on the judge? If they've already rejected your protected status, why do you think the judges all of a sudden going to rule in your favor? You don't even have protected status anymore.
Because one has nothing to do with the other. You know, the protected status just to get them here. Once they're here, you know, if they're it's not necessary anymore. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
they think it's not necessary anymore. They're not bringing any more Afghanis, even if they keep the protected. I don't know. I really don't know. This is like beyond my expertise level.
I don't think it is. I think you know the answer. I think you know the answer. You're just trying to raise the bar. Well, I need to see proof. You know, if all of these fucking notices are going out, some of these people are getting kicked out. You don't need to see evidence. You know, if they're sending all these notices out to these folks, and you don't remove TPS status for them, some of these folks are getting kicked out. You don't need proof of that.
Listen, look at what happened with Garcia. Garcia was supposed to be deported 4 years ago. Doesn't mean he actually, you know, that's the big problem with Garcia.
We talking about under Trump, though.
When his asylum got rejected. But guess what? He stayed in the country 4 more years, and you know, and now you're telling me because they sent out a letter to this guy, he's automatically gonna get deported.
Yeah, because the deportation enforcement under Trump, or it's like being told to do something by your mom versus being told you better do it by your dad. The enforcement by the dad is usually a lot stronger. Trump is a lot. If you get a notice to self-deport from Biden versus one from Trump, totally different outcome. I gotta move it on though.
I mean, that could be more rhetoric than anything.
Yeah,
people are
right.
more scared of Trump than actually what he's doing, because you know he's not God. He can't automatically snap his finger and 10,000 Afghanis get deported, and especially they get deported without us knowing about it. No.
Okay.
I think you're giving them too much credit.
I think you ain't been paying attention, but I gotta go. Appreciate it. All right, and real quick in the comments.
The man says he was promised the American dream.
Now this is yet another one of those. I'm just curious to hear before I continue on.
The man says he was promised the American dream after fighting alongside U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. Now that dream could be stripped away.
If I want to go in Afghanistan, they'd killed us. Me and my family and the children.
Now, he says that he's one of thousands who got an email from Homeland Security giving him 7 days to get out of the country.
Channel 9's Tina Terry talked to that man and his attorney, and Tina, they believe he has the right to stay here.
They absolutely do. Now, for his safety, we're not sharing that man's name, but today his attorney told me that he was promised safety and a life in the United States after fighting along U.S. troops in Afghanistan.
And that last guy was in San Antonio. This is in Charlotte, so this is over in North Carolina.
He told me today that returning there would be a death sentence.
How can I go? Where can I go? That's a big problem for us.
That immigrant met us today to share his concerns about this letter. He received it by email 2 weeks ago. The letter gets straight to the point. The first sentence says, it is time for you to leave the United States. And if you don't leave now, you will be subject to potential law enforcement actions.
If I want to go in Afghanistan, they'd killed us. Me and my family and the children.
Before the war in Afghanistan ended in 2021, he says he was in the Afghan army and helped U.S. troops. He was one of thousands who rushed to the airport in August of that year, trying to get on a plane to get to the U.S., but chaos at the airport in Kabul left him and his family stranded. He kept hope alive for years, living on the run in Afghanistan with his family and 3 young kids.
There's a movie called Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. I'd invite you. It's a good action movie. What is his name? Jake Gyllenhaal, whatever his last name is. He stars in it, but it's about this situation where there's a Afghan interpreter that's helping out American soldiers over there. And when it's time for America to leave Afghanistan, they want to leave the interpreter behind. And they do. And they actually do leave him behind. The reason why I thought about that, because you heard this guy say that he was trying to get into America and he was on the run in Afghanistan until he could finally leave the country. That guy did the same thing in the movie. That's exactly what happened, is he was having to lay low undercover because the Taliban was looking for him. He had been working with the United States. We ended the war, we left and left him behind, and now he's in his own country trying to hide out from Taliban looking to kill him. And it's a good movie, I would say, watch it, but it's exactly what they're talking about here. And yeah, there is no denying that if we send those folks back to Afghanistan, some of them folks are going to be imprisoned, tortured, and or killed. There's no denying that's going to happen. So for Trump to remove TPS status for them while bringing in immigrants from South Africa, it's pretty clear that there's some kind of bias going on there, and I'll leave it at that. In the comments, Alpha Spec says, my source is a movie. I didn't source it for any damn thing. I just simply said it's a great movie to watch, and it tells the story of how this kind of stuff. I mean, shit, Saving Private Ryan tells the story of the invasion of Normandy. I mean, should you not mention it? If you want to tell somebody what it was like during the invasion, well, you can't use Saving Private Ryan. It's a fucking movie. You make no damn sense at all. You make no sense at all with that. It's a movie based on what happened to Afghan interpreters. I mean, or to Afghan refugees that work with the United States. That's all it's about. It ain't about a damn source. Looking in the comments, 1 hour later, hate for a few white guys. You said that's what's going on here. Yeah. Saving Private Ryan is Hollywood, bro. Yeah, Saving Private Ryan is so much Hollywood that when it came out in 1998, real survivors of the invasion of Normandy were walking out of the theater in tears. That's how real that shit was to them. People who actually went through it back in '98 when they went and watched that shit said it was so real. Some of the veterans could not even watch the whole damn movie. But it's Hollywood. Hollywood can imitate fucking life, you know? Hollywood ain't something you just dismiss. Same thing with Black Hawk Down. Some soldiers said that how they filmed Black Hawk Down was very realistic. Have you ever seen the gunfight in the movie Heat? Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer. Have you ever seen that gunfight? So the idea that it's just Hollywood don't say shit. Hollywood can be very real. Looking in the comments, if you're offended by U.S. laws, the exit is conveniently located at the border you skipped. What the fuck does that got to do? If Biden legalizes transgender playing against biological girls in sports, if Biden makes that a law, do I tell you that if you got a problem with that fucking law, you need to leave the country? Is that what you're telling me? By stating that if you, what was your comment again? If you're offended by U.S. laws, the exit is conveniently located at the border you skipped. Sounds great when your candidate of choice is making the law, but when the liberals are in there making the law, now you don't want to hear it. This falls under the category of you can fuck off with that. That's not how the country works. That's not how the country works when the laws are only good when your guy is making them. When the liberals are making laws, all of a sudden now you don't want to leave. You feel like it's okay to complain now, huh? When the liberals are passing laws in favor of universal health care or some shit you don't like, did you get your bags and go packing? Remember, if you don't like the laws, you can leave, right? Looking in the comments, trans people have always existed. True, that is true. Because when you sneak in, you don't get to demand rights. You get a map back home. Bullshit. Didn't we go to Iraq because Saddam Hussein was allegedly mistreating his own people? What happened if you don't like the laws? Get the fuck out. We literally have invaded countries because we didn't like the laws there. We started letting Afghan women learn how to drive and own businesses in Afghanistan. What happened if you don't like the laws? Leave. It sounds good when you're the one that's in control, but when it's happening the other way, you suddenly don't like it. America goes to countries all the damn time that they don't like laws of and try to change the damn laws. Happens all the time. But it's wrong for them to come here and change ours. Is that what you're trying to get me to believe? What do you think about January 6th? It was a mess. January 6th was a mess. And it was based on something that was not true. And there's been plenty of years that have passed for us to know if it was true. Trump is in the White House. He controls the Senate. He controls Congress. He controls the Supreme Court. And he ain't doing a damn thing to prove any of that shit he said that led to January 6th happening. Trump, I'll just say inspired. He didn't force anybody to protest, but he inspired them to do that based on a lie he told them. And like I said, the proof is in the pudding that it was a lie because several years have went by and he ain't proved shit. So January 6th was a mess. So you think Trump didn't have anything to do? No, I didn't say that. Knox, you said, so I don't think Trump had anything to do. No, I would never say he had anything to do with January 6th. Without Trump, January 6th doesn't happen. Without Trump saying the election was stolen, January 6th doesn't happen. Without Trump and Steve Bannon and all of them talking about meet us in Washington on January 6th, it doesn't happen. Without Trump taking 4 hours to call these people off when they were invading the Capitol building, it doesn't happen. And when they did the hearings, the January 6th hearings committee, they were able to show that once Trump finally went on TV and started speaking to the people, the whole thing dissipated. But he waited 4 hours before he did that. So yeah, he definitely has something to do with it. I'm not gonna give him a complete pass. January 6th was about using alternative electors, which was completely legal at the time. January 6th was about stopping the steal. They even had fucking signs in their hands that says it. There was no steal to be stopped. Period. There was nothing stolen. They showed up to stop the steal. And that was the peaceful transition of power from Trump to Biden, was Biden allegedly stealing power from Trump. They showed up to stop the steal. Nothing was stolen. That's why they came there. They didn't go there for any other reason. They went there to disrupt that transfer of power, and they actually succeeded. They actually succeeded, albeit temporarily. For a few hours, they could not complete the ceremony, and then they came back later that evening at the behest of Nancy Pelosi, and they can continue, but they did temporarily stop the transfer of power. That was the purpose of them coming out there. They didn't go out there to protest. They went out there to stop something. Trump better not hang that January 6th mess on Pelosi. It's ridiculous. It's over with. It's over with. Doesn't matter who he hangs it on. It's over with. I worry prices of grocery store and medical bills are going to... I worry prices, grocery store and medical bills and going to work. I don't know what you mean by that. They put poop on the White House walls. They didn't just put poop on the White House walls. They took down U.S. flags and replaced them with the Trump flag. They stole shit from Nancy Pelosi's office. They broke in stuff. I mean, they caused a lot of damage. I mean, you see when Ashley Babbitt got shot, they were smashing out windows at that point. I mean, they caused a lot of damage in that building. They didn't just go in there peacefully to have a tour, as some people put it. They went in there and did a lot of damage. Shit, food is already down where I live. I can finally afford steak now. Where the hell you live at? I'm not seeing the price of steak and food dropping like that. I'm not seeing it. Real quick in the comments, they put poop on the walls. Yeah, Ashley Babbitt family got a huge settlement. If you leave it to Trump, it wouldn't surprise me if many of the other January 6th insurrectionists, protesters, whatever you want to call them, got some kind of... I mean, because look, Trump is transactional. If you do something for Trump, Trump will do something for you. Legal or illegal. I mean, as far as Trump is concerned, they did something for him, and he's repaying them. So, it doesn't... I mean, he's not paying Ashley Babbitt with his own money. You notice when all of these folks got arrested and got charged with various crimes for January 6th, they had to have court case. Trump didn't contribute any money to their legal fees. He wasn't putting no money on their books. He didn't offer to buy nobody out. He's using the money that's going to Ashley Babbitt is coming out of your pocket and my pocket. Trump ain't giving them shit. He ain't giving them a penny. But it's easy to allocate somebody else's money to them. But he didn't do nothing for them when they was in there. He didn't look out for none of them. Did he look out for any of their families that may have lost a husband? You know, your husband's incarcerated, fighting on my behalf, so we're going to pay your mortgage while he's in prison. He didn't do any of that kind of shit. I mean, he just left them out to pasture. If Kamala Harris had won, a lot of them they would be still sitting in prison. Some of them would, and the rest of them would still have felonies on their record. He wasn't going to do anything for them if it cost him money to do it. But yeah, he'll let the U.S. tax dollars pay for it. That's you and I paying for that shit. Trump got like 50 hostages released. Who are the 50? I know he just got an American released in Gaza the other day. And he gets credit for that. I'm not going to hate on the guy for getting hostages released. That's a good thing. He pardoned them as clown. Like I said, he used shit that didn't cost him anything. For him to pardon them, he signed a fucking pen. I'm saying when they were in prison and Trump was a citizen from 2020 to 2024, he was just a citizen worth millions of dollars out fucking playing golf. He didn't do shit for those people. The only time he did anything for them is when he became president and he suddenly had the backing of the federal dollars and the power of the presidency behind him. But if Trump had a loss to Kamala Harris or lost to Biden, Them folks are going to be on their own. Even though Trump is worth tens of millions of dollars and could easily help their families out. He could have done a ton of shit on his own. He wasn't going to do a damn thing for those folks. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, once he becomes president, I'll pardon your ass. That ain't shit. You just taking a pen and signing that. That ain't costing you any damn money. You don't get we want a cookie for that shit. Why do you do something for them the 3 or 4 years they've been sitting around, not able to be employed, ostracized all over social media, losing their homes, owing a ton of money in legal fees? Why didn't you help them out then when you was worth tens of millions of dollars? Well, now that you got access to federal tax dollars, yeah, you'll allocate that, but they weren't good enough for you to use any of your own money on them. That's the point I'm making. How did they know that how did they know that at the time? What is it saying? They didn't and had to assume otherwise while she and otherwise tried to break into a closed chamber. Yeah, are you talking about Ashley Babbitt? The whole notion that you got literally thousands of folks trying to break into a closed chamber, as you put it. Ashley Babbitt is in the front of the crowd. It's obvious she is not going to be the only one that come through that broken window. That was 100% obvious because everybody else is breaking out the windows with her. So clearly she's going to be the first through, and then there's going to be dozens more coming through. The idea that the cop should have known that she was unarmed, and I suppose the hundreds of people coming in behind her, he should know they all unarmed too, and just expect all of them to be harmless coming through. That makes no sense to me. To me, Ashley Babbitt is a classic example of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I say this all the damn time. I don't give a damn if you're involved in a liquor store robbery or you got a cop that is trying to tell you to do some shit. If somebody is aiming a gun at you and they're yelling instructions and you choose not to follow those instructions, you significantly increase your chance of getting shot. That's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. You're depending on the person with the gun to have some kind of mercy on you. And all. If somebody is aiming a firearm at you and they're telling you to do shit and you choose not to do it, you increase your chances of getting shot. Whether it's a person in blue with a badge or whether it's a bank robber. I don't care who it is. If they're aiming a gun at you and they're telling you to do shit and you decide not to do it, that's your ass. It's as simple as that. It's called having a drop on someone. Yeah, it's exactly as simple as that. Well, he should have knew she wasn't armed and she's just a little small girl. She should have knew what could come out of the barrel of a fucking gun. Period. That's it. You should have known that this guy aiming a firearm at you might be actually serious about what he's saying. That should be on you. Do what you got to do to protect yourself first. Not depend on some law enforcement official hoping that, well, maybe he won't shoot me. Maybe because I'm a girl. Maybe because I'm little. Maybe because that's stupid. Why would you play games? That's literally like playing Russian roulette with your own damn life. And of course, she lost that game. All she had to do was stand down and she would still be alive today. That's all she had to do. Same shit you would tell any African American that got shot during a traffic stop. The same shit. All you had to do was comply and follow the officer's instructions and you would be alive today. I don't know why the hell that changes with Ashley Babbitt all of a sudden, who was clearly in the process of committing a felony herself when she got shot. I don't know why that changes with her when we say the same thing about comply with folks getting killed in traffic stops all the time. Same shit. Somebody aiming a gun at you, you don't listen, get shot. That's definition. Classic fuck around and find out. Classic. Real quick in the comments. I agree they shouldn't have been there. Yeah, it is what it is. And she was warned many times but kept trying to break into the chamber. Yep. Look, she got what she got. Tim, these zealots thought they were invincible. Well, occasionally you get it wrong. Sometimes you think you're invincible until all of a sudden something flying at hundreds of feet per second proves you otherwise. And that's what happened with Ashley Babbitt. She shouldn't have done what she did, but the guard should have had more trigger control. don't work like that. That guard is going to be justified all day, every day. I mean, if we had deemed that guard committed an act of murder with Ashley Babbitt, you realize how many cops would be on the hook? I mean, she is actively breaking into a building when she got shot. If he is wrong for taking her life, I mean, you just open up the gateway for all kinds of people to be able to do shit. If you can do something like that and you're okay, then shit. What else can I get away with? Police officers want to go home at the end of the day and they're not concerned about your life whatsoever. I'll tell you this, Talisha. Ashley Babbitt wasn't concerned about her life either that day. Her actions don't come across as somebody that was concerned about their life. I mean, you jumping through a broken window, glass could cut you up. I mean, you got to jump out on the other side, slip and fall on glass. You could get trampled by the hundreds of people that's coming behind you. Not to mention the dude that's sitting over in the corner with the pistol aimed at you. You clearly don't care about your life. Ashley Babbitt's actions were negligent that day. Her actions were negligent that day. She had no weapon, says Leroy. Okay, and you know how many people committing violent felonies lose their lives without a weapon? There's no way to know that. I mean, there's no way for the guy to know that she didn't have a weapon. She's climbing through. She's fully clothed. She could have appendix carry, small of back. She could have an ankle holster on. I mean, there's no way for him to know that. All he knows is that he's aiming a gun at her and she ain't following the instructions. And I'll submit this to you. If a cop is aiming a gun at you and telling you to stand down and you keep running like that and continue moving towards him, you probably get shot too. It's just the way it is. You can't do something as stupid as what she did. Trolling aside, the SWAT team was behind Ashley Babbitt. Okay, that ain't justifying what she decided to do. I believe that the issue was the black cop that shot her did the exact opposite of the cops that she was climbing over to get through that window. The cops that she was climbing over realized that they were outnumbered by all of the folks busting up shit in their wake. So they just all chose to stand down. The black cop didn't. The black cop was in a position where there was nobody in his area, so he wasn't dealing with thousands of people at once. He was hidden in another area trying to protect the chamber, and there wasn't thousands of people. So he could deal with an individual Ashley Babbitt. The officers that were standing down, if they had to start firing weapons, there were hundreds of people in their face. They would have probably been overrun and killed if they had done that. The black officer that took Ashley Babbitt, he wasn't dealing with that challenge. He was able to pop off the first person that come through the window. And that happened to be dear old Ashley Babbitt. If January 6th protesters had wore BLM shirts, the left would have bailed it. Wait, we said if January 6th protesters had wore BLM shirts, the left would have bailed them out, gave them a night deal, and painted a mural. Yeah, and the right would have been demanding that they all be shot in the head too, by the way. So understand that. If the protesters on January 6th were all Black Lives Matter protesters, you would be demanding that they all get life in prison and they should have been shot. They fuck around and fight. Your whole take would be different. You would be talking all kinds of violent, draconian shit that should have happened to them. So you can say the left, but don't forget the right's mindset would change on that too. Alpha Spec says they burned down buildings. Look, yeah, that did happen. I mean, where else you want me to go with that? Yeah, they burned down buildings. The January 6th protesters was talking about taking the life of the vice president. So it is what it is. Bro, in Leroy, you're wrong when you say nobody was charged. There are literally hundreds of BLM protesters. They got felonies on their record. Some of them are still in prison. All you got to do is type, go to Google and type in BLM protester arrested, BLM protester sentenced, and you'll see there's hundreds of them, hundreds of people that protested protested and rioted on behalf of BLM have done time. There's plenty of them that got arrested. It's pretty easy to go to your particular search engine of choice. Bing, DuckDuckGoose, Google, Yahoo, whatever you use. Just Google BLM protester arrested. BLM protester sentenced. And you'll come up with all kinds of cases. I mean, they definitely got charged, and some of them went to prison. That definitely happened. The first insurrection in world history without any weapons. Well, first of all, it's not true to suggesting that they didn't have weapons. There are literally people on video beating cops with flagpoles and shit like that. There may have not been a lot of firearms there, but they definitely had weapons. In fact, there's video. I've shown it on the channel of one of the January 6th participants showing the media that he had a gun on him. So yeah, there were definitely weapons out there that day. The idea that they didn't have any weapons is simply not true. In fact, I'll give you a quick clip so you can see otherwise if it helps you out. This guy here has a weapon on him.
In a federal courtroom today, an Alabama man received one of the stiffest sentences so far in the Capitol riot prosecutions. 72-year-old Lonnie Kaufman was sentenced to 46 months in prison for bringing a small armory of guns, ammunition, and Molotov cocktails to Capitol Hill the morning of January 6, 2021. The nearly 4-year sentence is the third longest for a Capitol riot defendant.
There you go. And they even show a picture of the weapons he had with him. So I just think you got it depends on where you're getting your media from. If you watch it, if you're listening to Tucker Carlson, they all went out there for a love fest. But yeah, do you see what's on the screen there? That looks like an AR. Plenty of these guys had weapons. They didn't have weapons. You think all of these folks came unarmed? That's just not true. Doesn't take but just a little bit of searching online, and you can definitely find that. So that's just not true. And by the way, it came out during the hearings that they had weapons.
Plenty of bombshells dropped today during a surprise January 6th committee public hearing. A former White House aide shared some shocking new details about President Trump's demeanor the day of the Capitol attack, but some of those details are already being disputed. Xavier Walton has the latest from the newsroom for us. Xavier?
In this last-minute surprise hearing, the former White House staffer talked about what the president and his staff did before, during, and after the storming of the Capitol.
With the world watching, the aide to former President Trump's White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, delivering bombshell testimony.
He didn't look up from his phone and said something to the effect of, "There's a lot going on, Cass, but I don't know. Things might get real bad on January 6th.
Cassidy Hutchinson saying the Trump White House was aware of the potential for violence that day. Hutchinson recalling a conversation with Trump's former personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani.
He had responded something to the effect of, "We're going to the Capitol. It's going to be great."
She also described an alleged altercation between Trump and his own secret service.
The crazy thing is, it's pretty clear that they expected drama there that day. I'm talking about Trump, Giuliani, Steve Bannon. They expected drama to be there that day. They knew that what was going to happen there that day was not going to be peaceful. I mean, so I don't know, like I said, but it's pretty clear that they knew they were trying to start something. To quote Michael Jackson, you want to be starting something, but they knew they were about to do something. So when you ask how do I feel about January 6th, I think it was inspired by the president, and I'll leave it at that. They was aware. It's why Don asked Pelosi if she wanted the National Guard. And something in regards to that, that was a big story as well, that Nancy Pelosi failed to provide the National Guard and all that kind of stuff. I think it came out that it wasn't her job, but let's say it was Nancy Pelosi's job to provide the National Guard. My biggest issue on it is this. If I'm throwing a protest and I believe that my protest could potentially get out of hand, so I've asked you to provide security for it. Because I think just in case, I don't want anything bad to happen. We're in Washington, the day of the inauguration or whatever the case. So I don't want anything to get out of hand. So I want you to provide me with security. When I show up and start talking, if you haven't done your job first thing I'm gonna do is call you and ask you where the hell's the security at. And if you don't rectify that situation fairly quickly, I'm gonna end the protest. I mean, because I'm already feeling like I need security. So it's clear that I think something could at least possibly happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask for security. I'm asking for security because I think it could possibly be an issue. So when I show up to give my protest, if the security is not there, I'm going to start checking on that real quick. Call Nancy. If I can get anybody else, get us some more security, whatever the case may be, or we're going to have to end this rather quickly. We cannot continue this with no security here. In Trump's case, no security, no problem. Let's just keep going. So to me, at that point, once you know security is not there and you do it anyway, you're responsible for that. You're the president of the country. On January 6th, Trump was our nation's president. Even if Nancy Pelosi doesn't do her job, you're the president. Your job is to protect the American public as well. You don't get to just leave people in a haphazard situation. Well, we'll just fucking blame Nancy once it's over. That ain't how it works. You're the president. By the way, any of us at our jobs, if you go to work and you don't do your job, there is someone else at your job that will notice you are not doing your job and take action. They don't just let the company fall apart if you're not doing your job. Well, we'll just blame him when he gets back tomorrow. That ain't how it works. Somebody else is over you. Somebody else has the responsibility of noticing you not doing what you're supposed to do and acting on it. If you know that Nancy Pelosi's not providing security, you know it's not there. Then as president, it's your job to do something. You don't just keep going. Well, whatever happened, we're going to just blame it on her at the end of it. That's insane. So my opinion is, even if Nancy Pelosi's job was to provide security, the moment Trump knows that security is not there, he too becomes responsible for anything that happens, because you know this is not here and you continued on. So like I said, I don't know if it was her job to provide security or not, but it's your job as the person who is holding the protest to know if it's there or not. You know you requested something, it's not there, it's your job to follow. Then what did you do when you found out security was not there? I didn't do anything. I just kept going in an unsecured fashion. Then that makes him equally as wrong. Looking at the comments, they made career criminals into saints. Ashley, she was a veteran, but wrong politics. Wrong headline. Ashley Babbitt being a veteran, in my opinion, doesn't help her out at all, because it really makes her look like, to me, Ashley Babbitt being a veteran and doing what she did is the difference between you or I committing a crime versus a cop committing a crime. There should be a higher standard. You're attacking a government building as a former government employee. You, of all people, should know this is wrong, because there's probably other military personnel protecting this building now. You're part of the government and you're attacking it. To me, her being a veteran makes her look even worse, in my opinion. She's not a regular citizen. She's not somebody that, just some dude, some chick from the middle of rural Alabama somewhere. You're a veteran. You know this shit is wrong. You absolutely know it's wrong. Building lives matter. I like it, Santiago. Vets in street, we don't care. Well, she didn't care, and now she is no longer with us. I'm ready to dive into this, but you'll need to be more specific. I don't know what you're talking about there, but yeah, to me, what Ashley Babbitt did, that whole day, it just should have never happened. It just should have never happened. Fact is, Trump, and by the way, him and Biden have one thing in common about not wanting to relinquish power. Just like with Biden wanted to hold on to power even though he knew he should not have after that debate. Trump didn't want to give up the office. It's as simple as that. Trump knew he lost the election and just didn't want to cop out, didn't want to admit he lost to Biden and didn't want to come up off of it. and just decided to come up with this bullshit story about how the election was stolen. And I'll tell you this, if Kamala Harris had won, he would have said she stole it too. He was definitely on path to say she was stealing the election as well. In fact, every election that Trump was backing someone else in, so he was alleging cheating in the Fetterman, the election that was, I think it was Fetterman and Dr. Oz. He was alleging there was cheating in that election, and Dr. Oz came forward and said there's no cheating going on. Dr. Oz came forward and said this is not true. He was alleging there was cheating in various, I mean, every election Trump is involved in, he's been alleging cheating. So that's just what he's going to say. I mean, he's going to say that. And the issue I have with it is this. When you go and vote, you don't just, in a national election, you don't just vote for the president. When you went to vote in 2020, you're voting for various down ballot races too. You're voting for senators, you're voting for Congress, you might be voting for local legislation and bills. Hell, you might be voting for librarians and city councilmen. There are a lot of other people on that ballot. It's not just Trump versus Biden. Here's the point I'm making. If the election was stolen in 2020, that means there's a whole lot of Republicans that won that year that also won by fraud. Trump and many of his supporters have this mindset that the Democrats can perform some kind of surgical steal of only Trump's office, but all the Republican senators and Congress and governors that won that year, they just let them, if the Democrats were going to steal the election, they would have stolen from them too. They would have stole the Senate, they would have stole, why would you skip over that shit? That made no sense at all. That you could get millions of Democrats to all just focus on stealing it from Trump, but let all the Republicans all around the country, let all of them have a pass. That makes no sense. If the Democrats stole the election, you would have noticed the Republican Congress and Senate would have probably performed historically bad in that election. But yet the Republican Senate and Congress actually performed above expectations. That didn't make any sense, and it still doesn't make any sense, which is why I don't believe the Trump administration will ever prove that. And then there's a host of other things that don't look right. We can talk about the fake electors. We can talk about the fact that Biden was winning in the red state of North Carolina up to only a few weeks before the election happened in 2020. Now, Trump won North Carolina. But for a time, Biden was beating him in the polls, and it started getting neck and neck. Guess what Trump was saying when Biden was beating him? Widespread fraud all over North Carolina. They're cheating. But then on election night, Trump won North Carolina. They gave Trump their electoral college votes. He never complained about the fraud in that state again. If you're on record complaining about widespread fraud for weeks in North Carolina, how do we know you won fair and square in that state? You're on record saying there's all kinds of cheating in this state. What happened to Dinesh D'Souza? Why didn't he go to North Carolina? I mean, the guy's on video saying they're cheating in this state. Where's the investigations? That's one of the problems of Trump claiming that the election was stolen from him, is that his own quotes will come back to haunt him. Things that he said himself, his own quotes, will come back to haunt him. Pennsylvania is another state where they claim Pennsylvania changed its rules in an unconstitutional manner due to COVID. The state of Texas sued Pennsylvania, saying that the changes they made to their election were unconstitutional, went against the Constitution of Pennsylvania. The governor of Montana appeared on This Week with George Stephanopoulos and stated, "We made the exact same change due to the pandemic in Montana that they did in Pennsylvania. But Trump won here, and he's not suing us. He's suing Pennsylvania for doing the exact same thing we did because he lost in Pennsylvania But he used what we made. He used the changes we made here to win, so he's okay with them. The problem with Trump is simple. He wasn't trying to prove or have a free and fair election. He was just trying to win. In other words, I'm only against fraud if it works against me. If the fraud helps me out, then shit, I'm good with it. Then you're no better than the person you're accusing of stealing it. I mean, you're going to complain about fraud, but then when the minute the state goes in your favor, then you don't care about the fraud no more. Then you're just trying to win. You ain't trying to find, you're not trying to hold a free and fair election. My opinion is this. What Trump should have did is had Attorney General Barr or whoever the hell he had over it back then, find me all the frauds you can, all 50 states. I want every Republican you can get in all 50 states to find as much suspicious looking shit as they can. And just take all of that to the Supreme Court and say, look, we got all of this shit. This is a good reason why this election should not be taken at face value and maybe we need a do-over. That's what he should have did. But when you're only going to states where you lost, but meanwhile you're on record saying there's fraud in states where you won and you suddenly don't care about that, then you don't look like you're doing anything more than trying to win. And that's what hurt his credibility. Is that, you're here for, what did you do? What was your follow-up in North Carolina? I see you on TV saying they were committing extra fraud there. You're in court here claiming fraud. What did you do in North Carolina? Nothing. Then your credibility is shot. And from that point on, I don't think any of the courts took him seriously. And that's why he ended up losing like 60 different court cases. I don't think they took him seriously. But looking at the comments, look at the votes when they get 90% votes. Like I said, if you're on TV alleging fraud in the state you won, you got to answer for that shit. Period. If you're on television saying that Biden winning in North Carolina is due to widespread fraud, and then you end up winning North Carolina, you got to answer for that. And he didn't. He didn't care no more about it. Once they gave him the Electoral College, he didn't care no more about it. So it is what it is. What about the fake elector scheme? The fake elector scheme looked horrible as well. I mean, like I said, there's enough there to show that Trump was just trying to win. That's it. He was just trying to win. Real quick in the comments. He's winning national pride. Perhaps, Aaron, I'm not going to argue with that, but he didn't win the 2020 election. If Kamala was such a great candidate, even better than Biden was, what the fuck happened to the 20 million votes? They weren't there in 2020, Tim. It's a good question. What the fuck happened to the 20 million votes? That's the stuff of investigations. When things look suspicious, you call for a fucking investigation. You don't yell out, I won by a landslide. When shit doesn't look right, that doesn't automatically equate to you winning by a landslide. That's the problem, is that Trump didn't say things didn't look right. He said, I won by a landslide. You don't have the right to say that shit, is the point I'm making. What happened to the 20 million votes? Well, let's do an investigation and find out. That's what you do. You don't jump up and say you fucking won. That's what he did. And I see in the comments, Travis says they cheated in many ways. Even if you're right, that still don't equate to you winning by a landslide. Let's say you beat me in an election by 200,000 votes. But then you can find out that 50,000 of my votes were fraudulent. That means you won by 250,000. That's all it means. Or let's say you beat me by 200,000 votes and I can find out that 50,000 of your votes were fraudulent. So now you didn't beat me by 200,000, you only beat me by 150,000. But I showed that cheating was done for your side, but it doesn't equate to me winning. It just shows some of your people cheated. You can't just use cheating to say you won by a landslide. That's what we're talking about. Trump just jumped up and fucking said he won by a landslide. And it's based on nothing. It ain't based on anything factual. Well, it looks like they were cheating. Okay? But were they cheating enough to justify you winning by a landslide? Can you prove that? No, you can't. No, you can't. I agree with you, Esther. I said this convo needs to be put to bed. Trump lost. They won't accept it, though. They won't accept that he lost. That's the problem. I want to make sure who counts when they're doing it in secret. I don't, like I said, if Trump said he won by a landslide, he has to show where he got that information from. Otherwise, he on some bullshit. I'm just simply saying that. Even if you can show that 10,000 dead people voted or 100,000 illegal immigrants voted, even if you can show, that don't mean you won by a landslide. If Biden beats you by 2 million votes, and you can show that 100,000 dead people voted for Biden, those are fraudulent votes. Okay, so now that means Biden didn't beat you by 2 million. He beat you by 1,900,000. So just because you find fraud don't mean you won by a landslide. You got to show that the fraud you found was so substantial that it made that kind of a difference. He didn't do that. He ain't came close to doing that. He never will do that. So that's why his claims were viewed as bullshit from all the courts. Nevertheless, folks, you know what I got to do this time of damn night. I do appreciate you tuning in as always. Feel free to subscribe to the program. For some of my beloved MAGA, you definitely don't like this election talk, so I probably fucking lost a few of you folks, but it is what it is. This is a free speech program. You can certainly criticize the host, but we're all about free speech here. We are MAGA friendly, but I do understand some folks do not favor hearing any criticism of Trump. It is what it is. Just like some liberals don't like to hear me defend Trump, but I'm all about free speech. If you enjoy that, follow the damn program. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, certainly a subscription on YouTube, if you will. Until then, I'll see you folks tomorrow night. Y'all take care. If I can get this shit going.